is faster than Newman in the older car. Because Newman is shit.
What the fuck? It's fucking copy. Gary?
No.
No, we're 21.
I'm hovering over going live if you need to take my Twitch.
No, I've got it now. I've got it now. It was Streamlabs being fucking stupid, not finding it. I was live, but it was Streamlabs being an absolute cunt. It does that at times. You interact to try and find the fucking go live bit. And, yeah. Oh, that bloke won 5 gold medals in 5 Olympics. Nice, well done you.
Because my thumb was over the share button ready to go live.
Just quickly, happy birthday, Dad. Was going to call, but I have work. Happy birthday, Dad. I was going to call, but I'm getting ready for work. That'll fucking do. You can get over that. Right. I want that stream on.
He is 421 confirmed.
Yep.
No.
Oh, excuse me.
That sounded wet.
Whew, yeah.
Sure that went to sharps?
If it is, it's going to have to wait till the fucking race one's over. Right. Okay. 5, 4. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport here for what is the third to last week of the season. It is Zandvoort and it is round 19 and 20 of the championship. I'm your host, Matthew Duffy, joined in the commentary box once again by Phil, aka PN Motorsport, who's going to be bringing us all the action through this fantastic circuit. Fantastic racing, at this amazing circuit of Zandvoort. It's going to be a fantastic night's worth of racing. And Phil, the action hasn't stopped. It was GT4s and we now rolled into Pro-Am, now into the Pro. 21 car grid, a big grid for Pro-Am based off of recent weeks. So a night where Clouden could really gain an advantage over Dan.
It is, but at the moment in practice, it's Dan fastest. And this circuit's not amazing. This circuit's horrible in every sense of the word. Ugh. It should not be on the calendar anymore, anywhere. That's my opinion.
Fair enough. Well, we are in Holland, and we are at this fantastic circuit, and we are at this fantastic location. Very difficult compared to other circuits, PN, isn't it? It's tight, it's twisty, it's narrow. Really, only turn one for overtaking. It's a bit like a Hungaroring and a bit of a Brands Hatch sort of vibe, with it being that an Alton Park narrow and twisty sort of circuit. What challenges are the drivers going to face tonight?
Heat and the tyre wear, I reckon, because it's also very sandy, because it's built in sand dunes. And it never used to be this tight and twisty. It used to go off, well, there's a golf course now where it used to go.
You can play around the golf while watching the racing.
Actually, that might be an idea. We can find out on PGA.
Yes, we are in the Netherlands, and obviously we got the Dutch double win last night for Max Mulder, and he took that pole position to tie himself with most successful around this circuit with that of Dan Davies. 21 car grid for this race tonight, coming into the final 6 minutes of practice, and it's going to be an interesting one in this championship, Phil. Cloudon's got the gap down to 77 points. You can score 113 in a night, so Cloudon really in recent weeks, as Dan's had a spin and hits the wall coming into the hairpin, that's what Dan's been doing in recent weeks, and that's what's been allowing Cloudon to close that gap, as well as, let's not forget, this is the last week for drop scores for these pro drivers.
Yeah, so, and then next week every point counts, and we're at Zolder next week.
So Dan obviously took his drop score last week. That was a drop score of 32 points. So Dan's really got to have a bad week to score worse than that. The problem tonight, though, Phil, is if he was to have a week like he had last week, there's more drivers on the grid to take them points away from him.
There is this week, yeah. We've got 21 here this week. Oh, I just said this week twice and 3 times now. Yeah, and we've got returning Joseph from Effect Motorsport 2. He's now back. He's
making his first start of the season. He obviously was here. We don't want to report him. Press the wrong button there. He's here tonight, obviously teaming up with Mark Fuchs in the Effect Motorsport 2 car. It was meant to be here for the other couple of weeks, but has had to work on the Thursday night. That's why he's missed out on these first few races. Good evening to Chris and Tracy in the chat. And is it Dan's new setup, Chris is asking, that's causing problems? Now, Phil, obviously doing the work that I do and travelling to the places I have to travel for the work, I speak to a lot of race drivers and ask them that, comfortability, how important is that in the race? And that is their most, their key feature of being comfortable in the cockpit. Dan's just had a new rig. Now, he's mounted his old chair onto the rig. It was the rig itself, his old rig itself, that had failed. With that little change, maybe in position, maybe in height, or whatever it may be, do we feel that obviously that is possibly a reason why Danny's struggling?
Yeah, possibly. I wouldn't know though, because I just use a dual sheds and a sofa or a gaming chair. So I wouldn't know, but it's possible because it's like any changes, like even changing your livery in your car on your car for a special occasion could set off a curse.
Well, either way, that could be what it is down to. Marcus in the chat, go Effect Motorsport. Great to see some new faces in the chat this evening, as we are then getting ready for this for the final 3 weeks of the season. Rounds 19 and 20 tonight. The championship standings look a little like this. There's 339 points up for grabs, and it is Dan Davies who leads the way, 77 points clear of Cloud, and he's 147 clear of Overtaker and 172 clear of Harris, really becoming a 2-horse race. RB Racing not here tonight. He's 268 points behind. He'll probably lose out to Michael Echo in 6th. He's been the man to watch since joining SimPlay Motorsport. I think it was like week 5 we got Echo come in. Gary Leach is P7 with Insert Coin in P8. Mike Matthews is P9 with Sky Schundelmeyer P10. Sky Schundelmeyer carries a qualifying ban tonight as well. Ian Gray's P11 with Ben in P12. Tobias Hoffer P13. Piscina's P14. He also carries a qualifying ban tonight. Dennis Newman then behind him with Fuchs, Stein, King, Burton, Flem Speed 1, Joe Bates, O'Reilly, Saber, Kyle, Mitra Cannon, Will Friedman, Kreuzer, Klarbel and Joseph, all picking up the rear. And it is from, by the way, Mike Matthews down. So the top 8 are the only drivers that can win that championship. That'll obviously change a little bit as the night goes on. Into that Constructors, 639 points up for grabs, and 85 points in it between FBR and that of SimPlay Racing. But with there being no RB will only gain 11 points back due to that last final drop score to his name. So at the minute it is 1,099 points for SimPlay Racing. It is 1,025. That is with RB's drop score. That has already been taken into effect due to he's not here tonight. 704 points for Quantum Apex Motorsport. Greasy Bandits Racing a P4 with Jaeger Motorsport in P5. They are on the cusp of being eliminated, but Jaeger down to the one driver this season. GK Racing also down to one driver is P6 with Effect Motorsport. They've got their partnership back, and really, they ought to be getting close to Jaeger and GK Racing and maybe Greasy Bandits and Quantum Apex if they are to do anything about climbing up that leaderboard. BSP a P8 with Effect Motorsport 2, P9, Vorta Racing Independent P10 with the FSO Racing Team P11, and that is that. If you're wondering why we haven't mentioned Ramy Finney or the Smoky Racing Team, Ramy has been removed from the championship for the rest of the season due to penalty points. He is acquired 25, and that is enough for the admins. This goes out the steward's hand. This is for the admins of the community and of the channel to decide whether Smokey should continue racing for the season. And obviously, normally, Phil, these decisions are based off of probably their driving standards. This one is in terms of not responding to the stewards and not submitting evidence to the stewards on certain tickets and incidences. That's where Smokey's picked up, I believe, 21 of his 25 penalty points. Really on him as to why he's not here for the remainder of this season.
It is, yeah, and it is hair-pulling when you have to deal with drivers like that in the steward's office. Speaking of experience. As Gary is P13, I've just noticed in the his Porsche.
Just moved up the order a little bit. Eckholt's gone quickest from Dan Davis, Cloud, and you can throw a blanket over them to that's within a tenth. It's currently Insert Coin P4. Good lap for Insert Coin. Harris from O'Reilly doing well. He got his first race winner at SimPlay Motorsport on Tuesday night. Phil in the Ginetta, he had a fantastic race, started on pole, and he backed that up with a second place in race 2 from qualifying third place. So real good night on Tuesday night around this Zandvoort circuit in that Ginetta.
Yeah, well, I was happy with my 2 top 10s, to be honest. I'm not as fast as I was. As I believe that's Dennis Hansen on the Dane train. Yes, it is the Dane train with Eckholt fastest right now. As a Nicky team and Marco Sorensen reference in Aston Martin for WEC.
That's why I don't get it. Mike Matthews is currently P7. I've just gone on board with O'Reilly. Didn't mean to do that one. Mike Matthews currently P7 then, with Ben Down in 8th, Will Friedman in 9th, and the top 9 separated by half a second. That is a fantastic looking grid so far. Sky Schundelmeyer is 10th, just under a second. Pacina just over a second. Then it's Fuchs and Gary Leach who enters the pit lane. Joseph's P14, Dennis Newman's P15, Ian Gray 16th at the minute from Stein. From Tobias Hoffer in the old M6. Then it's Travis King and Kreuzer. Overtaker yet set a lap time. I believe he's possibly on one now as he comes around the final corner. He doesn't set a lap time until it's optimum. And he comes to the line, possibly going to chuck it up. Only 13th place, and that's probably why you want to set a lap time when it's not just optimum as well.
Possibly, yeah. As that's the end of free practice from 1, and we go straight into the race with a reverse grid. That's going to be fun. Yeah,
and the reverse grid round here looks like it's going to be an interesting one. Good evening to Fury's granddad. Evening, all good. Look, everyone. Choo choo, Thomas, he says. And the Dane train from Hansen, I believe that is.
That is Hansen. Yeah.
In the chat. So good evening to you all. And who is going to come out on top? That is going to be the biggest question. We'll get the poll in the chat in a few moments' time. Current poll out there is, are you ready for tonight? Everybody voting yes on that one. So let's get ready for this next race, round 19 of the season. Phil, coming into the back end. This is what normally would have been the last race at the last 2 races of the season. Normally,
it would be. We'd be about done by now if it would extended by two weeks. We would. Excuse me as I hiccup. So Joseph from Kreuzer. So you've got to be Kreuzer's effectively Effect Motorsports 3, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
And then Friedman, my money's on Friedman. with that starting P3.
My money is as well. I've gone Joseph, Friedman, O'Reilly for the chat, and then other. Please do comment who other is. But it is Joseph from Kreuzer on the front row of the grid. Will Friedman from O'Reilly. In fact, I'll tell you what, we'll go through the grid order when they come through the tracks. We can see the different liveries on display. A reminder as well, if anybody, not that many people ask about it, McLaren won that Manufacturers' Championship ages ago, but the interesting thing is we included the GT4s in this. Now, there's not a lot of McLarens in the GT4s. Aston Martin are now bumped up to third place, and Ginetta are already ahead of Honda, Mercedes and Nissan. Alpine are also ahead of Nissan and aren't too far behind the Mercedes. So there you go. That just goes to show you what a good bit of racing can do. But the Ginetta, the Ginetta's gone above Honda and Mercedes and Nissan, and Alpine ahead of Nissan as well. Michael was no slouch in the Nissan, and yet yourself, Peony, has managed to get the Alpine in front of it.
I don't know how again. Oh, probably keeping out of trouble. That'd be probably it.
So we start to roll away now, and it is Joseph who is going to lead the pack away in his Effect Motorsport 2 colours, the white and green. It's a nice shade of... It's not quite a minty green, is it? But it is a nice colour either way. BSP Sports, Sky and Ben for a podium, says BSP Sports. If you're wondering why Ben doesn't have the BSP name, obviously he started the season as an independent and will have to finish their season as an independent before teaming. Obviously he's part of the BSP stable, but he's not there yet. So there's Joseph from Kreuzer, Will Friedman and Kieran O'Reilly on row 2. Travis King is P5. Not sure what's happening with O'Reilly here. Is he having a few technical problems? He's stopped the car.
If it's warm and your wheelbase is overheating, because we've had 2 fan attacks go down, haven't we? With Trim Speed and...
He is fully Mitchell Buchanan.
Mitchell Buchanan.
Well,
he's just been teleported.
Has been teleported to the pits now. So it is Joseph from Kreuzer on row 1. Row 2 is Will Friedman and now Travis King. Row 3 is Stein and Mark Fuchs. Row 4 is Dennis Newman from Matteo Pessina. Row 5, Tobias Hoffer from Ben. Ian Gray and Sky Schundelmeyer occupy row 6. Mike Matthews and Insert Coin at row 7. Gary Leach and Michael Eckholt on row 8. Michael Harrison overtaker row 9, and Jamal Clouden and Dan Davis bringing up the rear. We hope O'Reilly can sort whatever problems he has and can get back out there on the track. He won't go a lap down, fortunately, PN.
No, luckily with this we don't have that problem like we did on the PS4 ones. If you miss the start, you're locked lap down because they count the warm-up lap as the first lap of the race for some odd reason it happened like that, but PS4 version's long gone now for us. We move forward, we've got crossplay, so that brought in the Xbox users.
Yeah, and it's been fantastic time on the left. Kreuzer now, I've just noticed Kreuzer compared to all the other Effect Motorsport drivers is on Xbox. That's rather interesting. I didn't realise that till now. Actually, with you mentioned the cross-platform, Kreuzer, part of Effect Motorsport, they're all on PlayStation, but apart from Kreuzer, he is Xbox. Interesting.
He probably bought Series S because, it being a couple of £100 cheaper than a PS5 at the time. They're
coming into the final corner. Phil, who's the tip for this race win for you?
For me, it's probably going to be Friedman. He's starting P3 and he's pretty rapid.
Noticing as well, look, Phil, on that second row of the grid, there is the gap where O'Reilly would have been.
There is, so...
That helps Stein out a little bit,
Stein's got more space to put his foot down in.
Well, it's round 19 of the season, and we are green and go here for the first race of the evening. It's a good start out from that of Joseph. It's all getting a bit side by side and pushing and shoving down towards turn 1. They all come, but Joseph gets through, as does Kreuzer, Will Friedman. Travis King's got Stein on his outside. That one is pretty much sorted out, but it's Friedman on the attack of Kreuzer already. Tucks back in behind. Pessina is onto the grass. Hopefully he stays out of trouble. He does, manages to end up back on the circuit and rejoins well out of harm's way. Gets back on again. That is Ian Gray, who is in the wall a little further down the path. Mike Matthews trying to go side by side with Gray as Gray bounced off the outside wall. O'Reilly has got going, so that's great to see. Dan Davis stuck in that traffic with overtaker with him as well, just in front. is Jamal Clouden, who will make his 50th appearance tonight. That's why he's running a different livery. And Clouden and Overtaker going side by side already through this middle sector of the lap here, but it all looks relatively clean so far. No big dramas, and all nicely done as Clouden has a look up the inside of Overtaker there.
Yeah, it looks massively clean. I'm touching every wooden surface possible right now because it seems to be opening lap every race people have incidents when the cars are all close together.
Will Friedman gets a good run out the corner down towards the chicane now for the first time. He's going to be on the outside for the first part of the chicane. Kreuzer gives him the space. Can Will keep it up the inside for the second part? No, he cannot. Travis King just drops a wheel onto the gravel a little bit. That's going to give Fuchs the run here, and they just bounce off each other a little bit there, and that's halted Fuchs' progress. Sky Schandelmeyer's looking up the inside of Tobias Hoffer. That's coming through the penultimate corner. Tobias just puts the wheel on the dirt, and that's allowed Sky Schandelmeyer through. Ben now maybe looking for a move as well as they all come down the start straight. Mike Matthews a little wide, kicking up some grass, as was Gary Leach, who's got Michael Harris side by side with him coming down the start straight. Dan's got ahead of his championship rival in Clouden, and here comes Harris up the inside of Gary Leach. That is job done on the move. An Overtaker and Dan going side by side into turn one. Dan's on the outside. Clouden could do with being back in front of Dan Davis. An Overtaker just making sure he puts his car exactly where he needs to at the moment. Clouden had a little sniff there on Dan, but nothing to be at the moment. It's Joseph who got a good lead though over Kreuzer and Will Friedman. Kreuzer doing a good job of keeping Friedman behind him.
He is, and it's a bit of a bottleneck starting to appear behind Kreuzer. And O'Reilly's caught the pack relatively quickly. He's only about 1.5 seconds off it, so...
He's done a good job, hasn't he, at the start? He had good pace in practice as Friedman's going to try and look up the inside and can't get that one done. Kreuzer's just going to drift out wide as you naturally do on this corner, but he will have the inside line for the next part of this corner. We saw Tim Venting get past here. Now Stein's going to look up the inside of Will Friedman. That'll give him the... outside line coming into this next part of the lap, and look at that behind. That is Sky Schandelmeyer now trying to get past Dennis Newman. Dennis showing Sky to the outside, leaving him just a car's width, and Sky has to fight that one another day. He's got a big clout from Tobias Hoffer, gets on the brakes as soon as he can. Mike Matthews was across the grass as well, and Clouden, PN I noticed in the background, has lost out to O'Reilly, and that is Schandelmeyer around.
Yeah, it is.
Look at this! Look at this! What's happening here? It's Kreuzer's managed to pull a gap. Will Friedman's been overtaken by Stein, by King, by Fuchs, and he's now under pressure from Dennis Newman. So I'm not sure what happened at the end. Here comes King. Here comes Fuchs as well. All on Stein into turn one. Fuchs turns in. There's King. Stein's on his outside. It's all a mess. And this calls round. Friedman gets a tap. Who gets through cleanly? That's the biggest question here. This is where it becomes a bit of a nightmare. Dan Davis manages to pick up places, as does Sky Schandelmeyer. Gary Leach, Eckel, Overtaker, O'Reilly and Clouden in the pits. That is probably the best thing for all of them drivers to do. I'm surprised we didn't see the championship leader in, but my oh my, that was a little bit congested at turn one.
Yeah, I think the corner's called Tasman, if I remember rightly. I've got a book with all the Grand Prix circuits, because that one actually was there before they changed the layout years and years ago.
Dennis Newman now with huge damage on the front of his car has got Ben and Insert Coin and Pacina and Harris. King's trying to recover, as is Hoffer. Then you've got Gray and Dan Davis, who's coming under a bit of pressure from Sky Schandelmeyer. Dan's looking to the outside of Gray. That's left the door wide open for Schandelmeyer, who's just going to sneak up the inside. But Dan will have the inside for the next part of this corner. Is he going to look up the inside on Gray? No, he's not. Schandelmeyer can't do anything about it. That is Insert Coin. I'm noticing he's off the track and in the barrier, tumbling down the orders. What has happened to him? He's rejoined now by the back of the pack. So not sure what's quite happened to him, but it's Gary Leach, the leader of the pit runners. No, it's not. Apologies. We'll wait for them to come through the sector time. I believe you're right there. It is Overtaker from Eckel. From then I think it's Gary. Then it is Clouden. Then it is O'Reilly, who had a bit of a nightmare pit stop. But already Joseph comfortable in the lead from Kreuzer, from Stein in P3. Dennis Newman P4. He's opted into box. No, he's not. He stays out. Pulls the bit of a trick there on Ben, who is opted to box now. There's four of them in the background looking to come in, and that is Matthews. Friedman stays out. Matthews, Fuchs and Insert Coin all come into the pits. Dan Davis, I am very surprised he's not pitting here. That is Pacina off, and yes, Dan's getting through the grid, but is he just going to lose time by staying out? Dan, we normally see pull that strategy. The last time he pulled a longer strategy like this, it didn't really work out for him.
No, man, that was last week really at Watkins Glen as well, wasn't it? But Joseph's disappeared up the road. really has put the hammer down.
Yeah, he really has put the hammer down at this opening stage of the race. It's been a good start for him. Just watching Overtaker gap Eckholt a little bit, Gary Leach and Clouden just dropping wheels on the curbs. Back down to Dan Davis, who's on the rear of that of Tobias Hoffer. And good evening to Peaceful Stepdad in the chat. Very surprised at this, PM.
Yeah, as Fuchs has jumped Mike in the pits. I think Coyne's car, before he pitted, looked clean. So he possibly ran wide and got on the grass. And because the grass is full of sand as well, because being a sand dune.
Well, Dan's just got past Tobias Hoffer. Tobias is going to try and come back at Dan, but can't do anything there. So Dan moves up to that 7th place at the minute. But Joseph, is he going to stay out on track once more? He does. 5.2 in the lead. Kreuzer then is 1.9 clear of Stein. Currently the 2 Lamborghinis. 1-2 Ferrari. Currently P3 with Dennis Newman in 4th place. He's got Ben right up his rear wing. And Dennis Newman here just not able to do a lot. He's got damage. Tobias Hoffer's in the wall in the background. Probably the best place to get the damage because he can go straight into the pits. And Dennis Newman with damage stays out ahead of Ben. Then it is King. Then it is Dan Davis, Sky Schundelmeyer, Matteo Psina from Ian Gray. Tobias Hoffer, Will Friedman into the pits. Michael Harris also in. And Overtaker's already coming down into that last sector towards the chicane pen. So he now is maybe going to, I think, probably jump Dan Davis. Clouden jumped Fuchs and Mike Matthews, and Insert Coin come out last.
Yeah, and Eckholt's now right on the back of Overtaker. Oh, we've had this much of the season since Eckholt's come in, haven't we?
We've got this little quartet as well behind them of Gary Clouden, Fuchs and Peaceful Explosion. Mike Matthews, for those who know him this season. And what a little fight this is. It's battles galore at the minute. By that turn 1 instant, it seems relatively okay. Will Friedman is down from his pit stop as Clouden has a look on Gary. Friedman's now coming away. And everybody comes through past Will Friedman. Even Insert Coin manages to get past. Michael Harris coming out the pit lane as well. So Tobias Hoffer with that big damage he sustained. As Stein goes up the inside of Kreuzer. And that is a move done for P2.
It is, and so the Ferrari should start to show its pace a little bit because, well, in Pro-Am it was pretty quick with Tim, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tim was pretty nifty in it. Tobias dropping down the order a little bit here as Kreuzer and Stein stay out. What will Dennis Newman do? Is he going to pit? He's got a massive train gaining on the back of him. Look, he goes defensive. Dan Davis in this train. Pacina and Gray in the background look like they're going to come into pit as Ben's going to try and go around the outside of Dennis Newman. Travis King is there as well. He stays or goes a little wide at turn 1. That's allowed Dan and Schundelmeyer through. Sky's now looking up the inside into this left-hand kink and through goes Schundelmeyer. King wants no part of that. So now Dan Davis moves up to 6. He's now got to commit to this longer strategy, hasn't he? But this is time now that Dan Davis is losing. While you look at Overtaker, fastest lap of the race, he's got clean air at the moment, and he should come out ahead of Pacina and ahead of Ian Gray.
Yeah, Dan's being held up by Newman, effectively, who's holding up Ben as well, and Sky. So Newman's now the bottle. The cork in the bottle.
The trolley train, as KLF used to call it. And like you say, every second Dan is out on this circuit as Ben's going to look up the inside of Newman and taps him! Taps him! And I tell you what, Dan now squeezes up the inside of Ben and he gets that move done. And, well, that would have been one moment for Dan where he'd have probably panicked a little of a car spinning in front of him and him getting damage.
Yeah, as Dennis has fashioned his lights at Ben. As Eckholt's now set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, now Michael Eckholt has that. Just goes to show the pace of them two McLarens in 9th and 10th. And you really can assume that they're going to pass Dan and the rest of the train. Clouden's still stuck behind Gary. In fact, he's been passed by Fuchs as Kreuzer's in the pits. Here comes Travis King swooping out to make sure he gets that inside line. Newman can't come across anymore. He does. Now, was that 2 manoeuvres? One wasn't going back to the braking zone. And he'd already committed to the middle of the road, so that might be one that Travis King will submit. But recap, it's Joseph from Stein, that is 7 seconds. And it is Dan Davis now up to 3rd place. He's really got to commit to this longer strategy. Overtaker's 9th with Eckholt in 10th. They're the 2 pit runners. Fuchs has got past Clouden, so Clouden's pace is not turning out to into race pace in that practice session, because he's got a bit of damage on the rear. Insert Coins just got past Mike Matthews. He's struggling as well. He's been passed by O'Reilly, who looks like he's got a bit of pace. Clearly a fan of this Zandvoort circuit, going well after his Tuesday night.
Yeah, well, he's got his eye in, even though the track temperature's a lot cooler than it was.
There you go. Sorry, Phil. Kreuzer out the pits, and Overtaker and Eckel have cleared him by a country mile. Kreuzer pitted from P3.
Yeah, so maybe they might clear Stein, but with Joseph...
They'll clear Sky and they'll clear Dan, because Dan and Sky was not near... Stein, sorry, I think it said Sky, apologies. I suppose the bonus for Dan is Overtaker's further behind Clouden in this championship, so...
Yeah,
you know, that's...
stands in
front of Clouden. Yeah, I agree.
I think I know why Clouden might be struggling. He's changed his livery.
Yeah,
for this race, it's, you know, like drivers have lucky pairs of socks or
Dennis Newman went. Sorry, Phil. Dennis Newman went to defend. Travis King's decided, you know what, I'm going to pit, mate. Probably not the worst option. Sky's just dropping off the back of Dan a little bit. Ben's gaining on the back of Sky, but it's still Joseph managing that gap of 7.9 out front to Stein. And Dan's within 5.5 seconds of Stein himself. There is Stein. Tobias Hoffer behind him, who's a lap down. Now King stationary. Overtake, look, coming into the final couple of corners. Dan's 4 seconds behind Stein, so going to be interested to see where Stein pits if Dan pits the same lap, but whereabouts they're going to come out, as Overtaker and Eckel must be matching each other here. Dan's got fastest lap of the race now, he's in the clear air, but has he already lost that time being in that pack?
Oh, more than likely, because you're in that pack, you're in the dirt, yeah, the car gripping us nicely. And around here, you need that grip, because there's only one real straight.
Clouden's got back out of Fuchs. Michael Harris was off in the background. There is where King's coming out, look. Just behind the rest of this pack. Harris looks a little slow there. Hopefully no problems, Harris. But Clouden now up to 12th. He's on the back of Gary Leach. This will be slowing Clouden down. Gary can see Kreuzer just in front. And Clouden will want to get clear of Gary Leach, that is for sure. Ben gaining on Sky Schundelmeyer. But no pit stops for the top runners at the moment. They're all staying out on the circuit so far. As I say that, Ben now pulls into the pit lane. And will Dennis Newman choose to pit? No, he keeps going as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where Ben will come out here. He was about 1.8 behind Dan. Dan's quickly catching Kevin Stein. Last lap it was 5.5 seconds. It's now down to 3.9, Phil. So Dan's on a bit of a mission at the moment. Overtaker, though, still has Eckholt behind him. Clouden right up the rear wing of Gary. In fact, he's giving Gary a cheeky little flash. Fancies a look up the inside in towards the chicane. Gary turns in, misses the apex to give Clouden that room, and Clouden wasn't fully alongside. These two are also catching Kreuzer as we come up to the start line here, Phil. This is an interesting little fight at the moment in this race.
It is an interesting one, but again, catching's one thing, passing's quite another, as the great Murray Walker once said.
It is indeed. So Gary Leach on the back of Kreuzer. You've just seen Ben's car start to move in the pit lane as he exits the pits now. Overtaker and Michael Eckholt have both got past him. Here comes Ben out of the pits. And where is he going to slot into this melee of cars just in front of Insert Coin, who goes straight on at turn 1?
Yeah, Mike, he's got in front of Mike, so meanwhile Joseph's going to have to start thinking about pitting now, because he's got, what, a lap, really?
Yeah, so he's crossed the line, probably can do one more lap and then pit the lap after at 1 minute 40
Stein's
a lap.
pulled the trigger now.
Oh, Gary's just put a wheel on the grass. Still on the circuit though. Fuchs got close to back of Clouden. Clouden now looks to get a run on Gary Leach, who just looks a little loose. Fuchs is going to the outside. He's going to try and make this 3 wide. He's not now, because they both did get alongside Gary enough. Clouden up the inside of Fuchs. Fuchs trying to go around the long way. Hold it round the outside to have that inside line. Gary still twitching all over the place. That's had to allow Fuchs off the accelerator. That's allowed Clouden through. Now Gary just starting to come under pressure from Fuchs. He's made that mistake there, has Gary Leach, and that's allowed Clouden through. As Stein and Schundelmeyer pits. This is going to be interesting to see where Overtaker comes out. We're going to stick with this Gary Leach fight. Book's trying to go up the inside, makes his line as tight as possible. Gary holds it tight to the next part of the corner, and Gary gets spun around after contact with Fuchs. Manages to hold on to it. That's allowed O'Reilly through. Ben's going to have a look into the penultimate corner as well, and Ben up the inside of Gary Leach. Gary just gives him enough space. Mike's going to try it as well. I feel Mike's run was compromised there by Ben being just in front of him, and he's still now side by side with Gary Leach. Who's got that better straight line speed? You imagine the Lamborghini has. Will Friedman's Porsche's all over the back of Pacina in the background. O'Reilly was having a look as well. Out the pits there is Dennis Newman, who feeds right into the path of Ben, and them two's made contact.
Hold your brakes.
Right, Overtaker jumped Stein in the pit lane then, and Clouden is well behind. Well, in fact, we'll see Clouden actually through the first sector. Kreuzer is lagging all over the place. Clouden is, he's well behind Stein, so I think Dan Davis will have Clouden covered as Dan Davis comes into the pit lane now. Oh, that looked not massively fast, but still, I think this is Overtaker's and Eckholt's. Well, I think it's Joseph's race. If these two have managed to gain on Joseph through the undercut, then that's an absolute brilliant strategy for Eckholt and Overtaker.
Yeah, well, it just shows you. In the sprint race, the undercut really does work.
Get out the traffic.
Yeah, get out of the traffic as soon as possible, and you're not getting held up. It'll be interesting to see where is Overtaker. Overtaker is now coming.
Yeah, he's coming through the final corner. Into it now. Dan and Joseph just goes green. Now, where's Joseph's pit box? He's on the move. He's halfway down the pits. So we know Dan's at least got 8 seconds over Joseph. Here comes Overtaker and Eckholt then. They are going to be cleanly through. Dan goes green now. He's off the limiter now. Eckholt and Overtaker through. Dan jumps Stein. Dan's down to P4. Dan's up to P4. Effectively from the back of the grid. And more importantly, look at that. He's got Stein. He's got Schundelmeyer before in between him and Clouden, and that is the most important thing, Phil.
Yeah, that's points at the end of the day, yeah. Which but Joseph has got out in front of Overtaker.
He has indeed. Now, Michael Matthews has got past Gary. O'Reilly is still on the back of Fuchs as well, just dropping down the order. King's on the back of Ian Gray. Insert Coins on the back of Dennis Newman. And you just can't do that, Dennis. You cannot move under the braking there. That is not good driving. He pulls back to the braking zone and moves left under braking. That is appalling from the BMW driver, to say the least. Insert Coin there. He went left and right twice, and then again to the left. And you just cannot do that, Phil.
No, you can't. Well, I'm not saying what I'm thinking, so no, I'm not saying it.
As Overtaker now is on the back of Joseph for the lead. He's got Eckholt with him as well. And I tell you what, Eckholt in this championship, could you imagine if he'd have been here from week 1? He's 269 points behind Dan. Could be out of the running tonight for the championship, but has taken the most race wins this season. Joseph, on his debut, would love a race 1 win. He's got 1 lap to hang on in there over the Overtaker. Overtaker would love to put Joseph between himself and Dan. He's 147 points behind, so really needs a good night to get back in this championship fight, doesn't he?
He does. And do you know who's impressed me? Because the pit lane start,
O'Reilly. Yeah.
O'Reilly. Nice.
Well, he had a cracking night in the GT4s, didn't he? He seems to be carrying on that form and momentum. And I know the Ginetta, a much different car than the Ford, but it's more impressive because he's in the Ford.
Yeah, he's in the, well, other than the Bentley, one of the biggest cars on the grid. And the Jag, I suppose. The Jag's quite big.
Well, here comes Overtaker then towards the final couple of corners with that of Eckholt and Joseph just ahead of him. And you have to say, this has been a fantastic night. And another debut winner. It's yet another race winner that we can crown here this season in the GT3s, because it's really been fantastic to see some of these race winners in the GT3 category.
It's not over yet, Matt. We've still got a few corners to go.
We have, but I think Josie's pretty much got it covered. You're not really making the moves at this final couple of corners, are you?
No, but yeah, you'd be brave to try it, but Overtaker's brave, so We know what Overtaker's like. He will go for it if he can.
He will go for it, but he's not going to run. He's going to run out of time. It's not going to matter for Overtaker. Joseph takes a debut win from Overtaker from Eckholt from Dan Davis with the fastest lap. Stein is going to come up for P5 in this race. Good result for him. Sky Schundelmeyer P6, Clouden 7th, of course, between him and his rival. O'Reilly gets up to 8th at the end. He got ahead of Fuchs, so O'Reilly gets 8th. Great drive from the pit lane. Fuchs 9th, Mike Matthews 10th, Gary Leach 11th, Pacina in 12th, Will Friedman 13th. Then it's a fight between Ian Gray and Travis King. That is for 14th and 15th. Kreuzer, who was on the podium for so long, didn't see if he made a mistake or anything, but he is going to come towards the back of the pack. That is 16th place for him. Ben finishes in 17th with damage. Harris in P18 with a bit of damage. And now does Insert Coin have the gap over Dennis Newman as towards the line they come. Dennis Newman has it over Insert Coin by a tenth, and Tobias Hoffer is going to be in that 21st spot. But Phil, what an opener to the evening. Fantastic start to the night.
Yeah, the top three, you can put a blanket over them, and what a first race. The undercut, very strong. Very
props
strong.
to Dan, though, for doing that overcut. It works better than what we've seen at other tracks.
Yeah, props to Dan for getting up there. Probably wishes he was in the Varettia around here, Massive straight line speed back in when he did that race in Nam.
Indeed so. Well, we will be back in a few moments' time with race 2 and the qualifying session for round 20 of the season. Don't go anywhere. We're clear.
What a strategy for Taker, though. And Eckholt.
Yeah, it just always works. Like you said, it always works in race 1. It's surprised Dan didn't pull it. It worked out for him in the end, but how many times could that have gone wrong for Dan this season?
Yeah. If Dan pitted the same lap as Taker.
Yeah. Dan pits the same lap as Taker. I think Dan wins that race.
Yeah.
I think Dan wins that race.
I'll tell you what, if O'Reilly drives like that in the second race, that's driver for die easily.
Yeah, I'd agree. Depending on what Joseph does as well for a newcomer.
Yeah. Because it's easy giving it to like Dan or Overtaker. That's why I didn't give it to Max. Yesterday, even though he won both races, I gave it to S2M, Lowerbex.
Dan didn't do the fucking thing because Dan was playing a game on his PC yesterday. Oh, get this. This annoyed me. This fucked me off earlier. You really agree with the Richard Beasley on Tibbs thing? You don't think Beasley opens his steering and Tibbs still hits him? And Dan's like, I've just agreed with Mike because I can't be asked for the arguing. I've not really looked at him, I can't be bothered. Like, all right. So that's how we started in GT4, is it?
Oh, I've got a feeling we're going to have a few in tomorrow, today.
Yeah, but I mean, what's all that about, though? Oh, Cloud Hypertech is at home this weekend.
He is at home.
Yeah, because of his partner's dad collapsing and being put in intensive care. I think she's gone because she's the one who does the event with the dog. He just goes with them. So I think she's gone with the dog and he stayed back for her dad. I think he was streaming this morning. I was chatting with him.
Yeah, I did see he went live.
Right, I'm going to run to the toilet. Back in a sec.
Yep. I'll have a piss as well. Just get some air in for a minute. Two bubbles, a Walker car.
Pull your car over a bit further to the canvas. What's this about doing what Max just said on live stream?
He's left the session.
Gary, Matt says he's got beers in ready.
Yeesh, boy.
But I'm going to open one on Dennis.
What for his weaving?
With driving standards, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you he say there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, yes there is, bye. Two World Wars, one World Cup. That's all we've got to say.
I mean, no, but you'll be professional about it, obviously.
Yeah.
I just...
He'll let Jay say it instead.
He fucks me off so bad. That is such bad driving.
It is. And... yeah, my connection's more stable. I take the Ethernet cable out of the switch dock to put it in this PS5.
Fair enough.
I just got the window open at the moment, let some heat out.
Oh, don't. I've got heating on. It's been that very fine drizzle all day.
Oh, I wish it was doing that here.
It's been like muggy, so it's been horrible because it's been sticky. But I've had to get some washing done, ready for the weekend. Whoa. Can't get it out on line, can I? So either it's warm and windy, it's fucking been fine rain. So it's like, oh great, yeah, can't get it out on line. So I've currently sat with heat on to get some washing dry, and it's like, oh my god, sweltering.
Yeah, Dennis's driving style just needs looking at.
You can't move that many times under braking.
And he wonders why people make contact with him.
Yeah. Funny, by the way. Did you get what I was getting at with his Xbox driver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
can't race with Xbox drivers, apparently.
No. Well, ironically, I'm both. Fucking window, come on. There we go.
Green light, go, go, go.
Right, we're unqualified. Let's sit down.
Yeah, I'll go live in a second.
Oh. Do you see what Ben's dad said? BMW drivers have no indicators.
Fucking awesome.
We've lost another driver. We're down to 19.
Gary. There's only one Porsche. Whoever's watching my personal stream, head over to SimPlay Motorsport. Live again in a second.
Gary's back.
Right. 5, 4. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. SimPlay Motorsport here for the next race of the season. It is the qualifying session now. We're into qualifying for round 20 of the season. We've lost Dennis Newman from the session. He's got to go pick his girlfriend up from work, so will not be able to finish the evening. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one going forward into this race. We are going to jump on board with car 33. That is Michael Eckholt, to see what drivers do what. But as lap times are going to come in, the championship standings take a turn. Dan opens the gap back up to 89 points over Jamal Cloud. And overtaker gets it down to 139. So he pulls a couple of points back, but still really needs, a good amount of points over Dan Davis. Michael Harris is P4 with Michael Eckholt P5. Still mathematically in this championship. It's now from RB down, who cannot win it this evening. RB is 6th with Gary 7th. Intercoin is 8th with Sky Schundelmeyer 9th. Mike Matthews drops to 10th place. Ian Gray 11th. Just behind him, then it is Ben P12. He could get inside that top 10, could Ben, this season. He's had a good one since joining a couple of weeks in. Tobias Hoffer is P13 ahead of Pacina, then Dennis Newman. Then it is Fuchs and Stein, who have really climbed up the championship again. They could have been up there in that top 10 mix if they'd have been here from the start. Travis King's P is just behind them, with O'Reilly moving up the order ahead of Burton and Flem. Joe Bates from Saber, and then it is Kyle Friedman, Mitrovican, Kreuzer, Joseph and Clarbel bringing up the rear. Joseph already getting onto that 55 point mark. And Phil, this is the interesting stage now, qualifying for this next round. What is going to happen here in this one? This is going to be the key. The Constructors World had 3 teams. SimPlay Racing from Team FBR, from Quantum, Apex, Greasy Bandits can still win this race, but highly unlikely since they're down to one driver. Yeah, Phil, who can do what in this session?
Well, that everyone's got to be gunning for that pole because that's an all important point, isn't it? So it's got to be close between, I think, Eckholt, Dan, Overtaker, because you can't plan Overtaker, Clouden, I should think. But we're fine out 11 minutes.
Friedman could also sort of be in there as well.
As Eckholt's already in the 55. 55
yeah,
35.
Eckholt in the 35s. Mike's 1.2 off the back. Kreuser's then just behind him. Overtaker goes 3.7 off the back. Michael Harris is next to the line. He goes into P3. Dan Davis is just behind him. Let's go on board the 1, 2, 3. That is going to be Insert Coin in his Honda. What lap time's he going to do? He goes up to second fastest, so not a bad lap time there. Ian Gray is the next car to the line. What can we see Ian Gray do? Currently Eckholt still on that pole. He moves up into P8. It's O'Reilly just behind him. Is he going to move up the order? No, he doesn't do a lap. Joseph now goes up into P5. Clouden, currently 14th fastest. He needs a good race here to gain points back over Dan. 77 was the gap, and he goes provisional pole. That's a good lap from Clouden. Already getting the banker on the front row of the grid by 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, and we had the LFM BOP talk.
No, we haven't. We'll get into that one on the next formation lap as Fuchs moves up the order into 8th place. Will Friedman, probably one of the cars in the best position here. Good clear road.
Yeah, but exactly where you want to be with nobody around you.
Goes P3 at the moment, car 33. That is Eckholt. Can he find that 10th? He's as well got a good gap to Friedman in front, so pretty much clear. So Mike Matthews has as well pretty good gap. Eckholt cannot improve on his time there. What about Mike Matthews? Improves his time but stays where he is. The 196 is next up. That is Kreuser down in 10th place in this current qualifying session. Can he get near the front? No, he can't. Stays 2.7 off the pole. What about Overtaker in this one at the moment? He moves up into P4. And then goes Travis King, who moves up the order. Harris moves up as well. And now Dan goes to the top of the timing screens with a by 0.2 of a second earlier. 1:35.2 for Dan Davis. That is a heck of a lap from the Lamborghini.
That is a heck of a lap. Is he going to do another blinding qualifying like he did back at Suzuka? That race at Suzuka.
We always see him do a pretty good one. O'Reilly's coming round now to complete a lap time. Goes up to 11th place, the 197. I don't think that moves anywhere. Nope, then it is the 140 of Ben, who hasn't yet set a valid lap time. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel, please hit that bell to be notified. The like button if you enjoy what you see here, and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 750 subscribers by the end of the season. 3 weeks or 2 and a bit weeks left to go. So we are 17 away, I think, from that. So please share it with your friends, family, get everybody involved and get them hitting that subscribe button on the channel. As well, if you want to check out our fantastic sponsors, make sure you go down into the description and check out Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing and much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Head over to their Facebook page, links in the description. As well as go down to Audiosport, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk or check out their Facebook page. Links are in the description. Then Overtaker's coming towards the line. Will Friedman currently P5. Taker's 7/10 off the pole. What will he do? No improvement for him. Dan Davis is now coming towards the line. Will he improve on his lap time? No, he does not. So no improvement there. And next up is the 131 of Gary Leach. Currently 2.2 off the pole. Tobias Hoffer just behind him. Gary doesn't improve. Hoffer doesn't improve. What about that of Stein? Doesn't put a lap time on the board. Ian Gray is then next to the line. What can he do before O'Reilly comes to it? Ian Gray, no improvement. O'Reilly, no improvement. And Joseph... Oh, he did go up to P10. Apologies. And Joseph up to P7. So Joseph on a good lap there. Clouden looks like he's on a outlap at the moment. Let's see, though, because you can't trust the dots at the moment.
No.
And he doesn't improve, so might have genuinely be on an outlap. We're going to go back to the 208. That is Will Friedman, who's got I believe that's Insert Coin just ahead of him.
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 second lap. So, oh no, Friedman's bailed and straight into the pit lane.
Yeah, and he goes. The 33 of Eckholt is potentially on an outlap as well.
Stein's yet to set a valid lap.
Stein yet to sit one. Sky and Pacina cannot qualify. Who's that in front of Overtaker? That is the 196 of Kreuzer then, who is currently in this next, who's going to set the next lap time. Does he improve on his 2.9? He improves, but stays where he is. Overtaker moves up to 5th. Can Dan find any more time in his car? Yes, he can!
Yes.
Finds another 3 and a bit tenths!
That's a huge amount. It's like, clip that, boys. As Gary crosses the line, Stein now crosses the line, and goes to P16.
Yeah, here comes O'Reilly. What can he do before Ian Gray? O'Reilly to the line, moves up to 8th. O'Reilly cooking tonight.
He is cooking tonight. He's enjoying Zandvoort.
He is indeed. Ben stays P4. Here comes Clouden. Doesn't find any time there.
Oh, 5 tenths though. That's a sizable margin.
That's a good margin. That's a good gap for Dan to sort of play with. Probably could bring that back to the pits and be done for the rest of the evening. Good Dan Davis. He's absolutely on it. Insert coin P9. Now, here comes Eckel.
What's Michael Heckholt going to do?
Yeah, let's see if he does anything.
Does
Improves,
improve.
yeah. Goes within a couple of hundredths now of Clouden. Next car to the line is the 196. That is Kreuzer, with the 81 just behind him. That is Travis King, who's just behind him then. So this is getting a little interesting here, Phil, if you ask me. It's all down, really, to what the front runners are going to do. He backs out. King then will be next to set a lap. Then it's going to be Fuchs in the background.
Improves.
King stays 12th, but improves his time. What will Will Freeman do down in 6th place? A second off the pole. Comes to the line. No improvement for him. What about Gary Leach? Where is he? He's down in 15th place. No improvement for him. Who's coming to the line? That is the 777 of Ian Gray. A couple of invalid laps around, so we'll keep our eyes on them. Sky Shungelmeyer starting in that P20. So really not going to get anything in this session. Obviously cannot qualify. Neither can Pacina. That is why they are down the order. Jamal Clouden to the line now. No improvement once again. So Jamal still got a lot of work to do. Here comes Insert Coin.
Honda's been quite impressive around here, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, the LFM Bop, I can tell you that the Honda, it still loses 17 kilograms of ballast, so still loses a bit of weight around here and doesn't improve. Is that Dan Davis to the line? No, that is going to be Mike Matthews, who's currently 11th fastest. He's got Eckel fastly approaching the back of him. No improvement for Eckel there. Next up is car 81. That is Travis King yet again. So yeah, the Honda still loses a bit of weight, Phil, but yeah, he's putting on a good performance.
It is, don't the Bentley lose all of the weight?
Here it does, yeah, it loses all 40 kilos.
Oh, that's King in the gravel. The next car behind him will be Fuchs. It's Fuchs now for Effect Motorsport 2. As we say evening to Michael Jace in the chat.
Will Friedman to the line, goes P4 within 8 tenths. Where's Gary Leach? What can he do? Currently 2.4 off the pace. He moves up to 14th place. Okay, track maybe starting to get a little faster. Nothing there. Tobias Hoffer doesn't improve. Michael Harris, the BMW M4 is the car that gets the most punishment around this circuit. Not seeing the best from it at the moment. Ben, 1 second off the pole. Can he get any closer? Does go second place, 4 tenths off the back.
Here comes Overtaker.
He improves, but it's not enough. Clouden to the line. He goes within a tenth.
Yeah, is Dan out on circuit? Just in case.
He is circulating, yeah.
He is circulating.
Eckel has stopped and returns to the pits. He can get 1 lap in here.
Yeah, one do or die lap.
Pretty much, yeah. Do or die in this qualifying session for this man. Good evening to Micro J's. Chris saying that he thinks the stewards will be busy again in this race. Well, let's wait and see. Dan now will start and will probably get 2 laps on the board here, Phil.
Yeah, he's got enough time for 2 laps, so
The
hopefully he's fueled up.
9.52. That is Fuchs who's next up. Then it is Friedman within 8 tenths. Top 6 separated by 9 tenths of a second. That is one heck of a qualifying.
It isn't. Dan had to go back out because if Clouden goes any faster and he's in the pit lane.
Well, Fuchs stays where he is. Friedman stays P5. Car 21. That is Tobias Hoffer, slowest car on the circuit at the moment. Improves but stays where he is. Here comes Harris. He does not improve. What about Joseph? No improvement from him. Car 14. That's Overtaker. Well, he's got a few cars between himself and Dan Davis at the moment. Can he find any more time? No, not there. He can't. What about Jamal Clouden? Here we go. Then this could be an interesting one. Here comes Clouden. No improvement there. No improvement for O'Reilly either. What about Insert Coin? Can he find that couple of hundredths to put him inside the top 7? No, he cannot. What about King down the pack? 1.6 off. A couple of hundredths would have moved him up a place or two. Mike Matthews, next car on a lap. So Clouden's got one opportunity left. Dan's on an invalid lap, it says, but again, we'll ignore that. Mike Matthews stays P11. Dan, Eckholt and Ben will all get one last lap in.
Yeah.
Will Friedman will be the first driver to finish a lap. Dan, there is Ben, stays in 3rd place. It's Will Friedman who will complete qualifying here. Kreuser's done, Fuchs done, King done, Gray done. Stein, I believe, still on track. Ignore the blue dots. We cannot be sure why they are light blue. Timer is up. Here comes Friedman. Does he move up the order? He improves but stays P5. Car 21 is next. That is Tobias Hoffer. Behind him, it is the 34 of Harris. Behind him, it is the 197 of Joseph. Harris bails. Tobias stays where he is. What about Joseph? Does he put it up the order a little bit more? No, he does not. Here comes Overtaker. Final run for him. Any interest here? Clouden bailed on his lap, so did not improve. Overtaker only goes P5. What about O'Reilly now? Does he move up the order a little bit? No, he stays where he is. What about Stein? He stays 16th. Sorry, O'Reilly moves up to 7th. Stein improves to 15th. And it's all about Dan Davis and Michael Eckholt now.
Yeah, Dan's attacking the curbs in the chicane.
Has Dan Davis just got enough? Eckholt still behind him on the circuit. Has Eckholt got just over half a second in him?
No, Eckholt's bailed.
He's bailed, so Dan Davis doesn't need to do the lap. He's going to be on pole position, takes an extra point. That is an impressive qualifying session again from Dan Davis. And once again, gains an extra point over his championship rival Clouden.
He does, yeah.
But
every point counts now.
But they start on the front row together.
They do. Is it going to be Senna and Prost all over again?
No.
No. Doubt
it from them two.
Or Nelson Piquet having a punch up with everybody. Right, as we are readying up. Right, time to talk about... I need to step away for a minute.
Yeah, quickly. No problem. I'm just inputting the qualifying results as we speak. Eckholt not on the front row. That is surprising. Going into this second race of the evening, it was an interesting one. Joseph, though, P8, good qualifying for Joseph. Interesting to see him up the order as well. O'Reilly, another good session for that Ford Mustang, but going to be an interesting one. Good evening to Chloe Davis. I believe that is Dan's partner, cheering Dan Davis on. And Ian Gray, great pace from everyone. Again, he says. Ian obviously come from Pro-Am last season into the Pro this year. So there is a poll going out. Dan Davis is going to be on it with Jamal Clouden. We'll then put Ben. Ben, I think that is his best qualifying of the season. We will have other. So if you think another driver is going to win this race, please put it in the comment section as well as tick that other box. 20 seconds for the drivers to ready up and see what they can do.
10 seconds.
So Phil has stepped away a moment, and hopefully he'll be back. We can have a good chat about the BOP that looks like he's coming in for next season, and what this could bring and what it could do to some of these cars. So Dan pulls away now. He's going to lead the pack away here in this warm-up lap. And this is going to be the interesting thing to notice now and see what Dan Davies can do. Championship leader once again. He's extended his gap in this one to 90 points now after that. And really is looking to try and win that championship next week. 113 points in the gap. In fact, to be fair, Dan Davies needs to outscore Clouden by 24 points, I do believe. No, there's 226. Ignore me. No, Dan Davies cannot win it tonight. Ignore me. But he can win it in race 1 next week, depending on what the gap is. So Dan really looking to try and get another championship, a 9th championship in Angel White. Says go Love Heart the 34. That is Michael Harris. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel, please do hit that thumbs up button and the bell to be notified when we go live. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. We are fast approaching 350 subscribers and really appreciate everybody, all of you guys in the chat and the comments, for subscribing to the channel. You want to see more of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport? Make sure you tune in. Next Tuesday, the penultimate round of GT4s. They head to Zolder for the next week of racing. That is brought to you by Dan Davies for the GT4 action. Pro-Am will be back next Wednesday night. Myself and Dan Davies bringing you all the action there for the penultimate rounds of the season in Pro-Am and the final week of drop score rounds for them due to what happened at COTA earlier in the season. And then myself and Phil Radin will be back in the comms box next Thursday evening for the penultimate races of Pro, or the penultimate week of Pro, in a week that SimPlay Racing could win back-to-back constructors, Dan Davies could win a 9th championship, Max Mulder could become a 2-time Pro-Am champion, and could BSP Racing win the Pro-Am championship. And I don't believe GT4s can be won next week. That is probably going to Valencia at the end of the season. But make sure you stick around. Come on, Sky, says Tracy in the chat as Phil joins me just at the end of the formation. Actually, couldn't have timed that any better. Phil, who's your money on for the race win?
Dan. I think Dan, if he pulls out an hour's worth of qualifying laps like that, and not touch curbs, looking good at Watkins. But outside shot for Clouden and Ben and Eccles. So
2 drivers tonight, Phil, before we get going, and I'll get your thoughts on them when the race calms down a little bit. O'Reilly and Joseph, very impressive tonight.
Very, very impressive tonight, but we've got to see how they perform in the hour-long race now.
We have indeed. Well, it's round 20 of 24. It's green and go here for the start of the race. The green flags wave, and it is Ben who gets a decent start, trying to follow Dan Davies down in towards turn 1. Clouden is going around the outside with them, and they all come side by side. Dan and Clouding shoulder to shoulder. Eccles and Ben shoulder to shoulder, and it is all clean through turn 1. And Dan manages to get into that race lead with Clouden and Ben, and Eccles in 4th. Then it is overtaken with Will Friedman, O'Reilly and Joseph just behind them. It all looks very clean through this first part of the lap. Gary Leach tucks up the inside of Mike Matthews. What an opportunistic move that was from the man from Suffolk. A great drive up the inside, but it is Dan Davies who's got out front PM, and he's already setting the pace. He's got a gap between him and Clouden early on.
Yeah, it was a little bit of contact. Kreuzer lagged and went into the pit lane and then clipped Tibbs. So there's a little bit of lag happening again.
Kreuzer down the back of the pack, but it is Dan Davies who got away from Clouden. Them two not really under any pressure from Ben. Then it is Eccles with overtaker Will Friedman bringing out the top 6. O'Reilly in 7th place ahead of Joseph. Them two have been very impressive tonight. Naval insert coin is P9. Michael Harris in 10th. Gary Leach up to 11th. Mike Matthews in 12th. He's got Fuchs on the back of him. Fuchs looking to dive up the inside. In fact, Mike is the one who was probably defending, not attacking the back of Gary. Then it's Travis King from Kevin Stein, Pacina from Schundelmeyer, Ian Gray, Tobias Hoffer and Kreuzer off the back of the pack already. But Cloudon's got within 3 seconds of Dan, and after that first phase of the race, is Cloudon now just starting to maybe come back at Dan Davis here?
Perhaps, but it's still a long way. Oh,
that's huge! That is O'Reilly, who's had a cracking night so far. And he's the man in the wall as Friedman's going to attack Overtake around the outside at turn 1. Cannot get it done around there. And that'll promote a lot of drivers here. Mike Matthews having a look at Gary Leach. Sorry, Pierre, what was you saying?
I think O'Reilly hit the grass and now he's trying to turn the car in and Ray's clipped him.
Great.
That Mustang's heavily damaged.
It is heavily damaged. Gray having a bit of a fight with Tobias Hoffer. Here then, can O'Reilly get that one back round to the pits? So Dan does the early fastest lap of the race here. He's also gapped Cloudon a little bit. It looks like Dan seems to be stronger in that first sector. Then it's Ben, then Echo, overtaker from Will Friedman. Top 6 pretty close together here. It's great racing. Joseph just a little further off the back with Insert Coin and Harris. Gary and Mike Matthews, they'll be in the same porta chat. They're having a cracking scrap at the moment with Fuchs just behind them. And then it is Travis King, Sky Schundelmeyer, Pacina from Stein, Tobias Hoffer, Ian Gray, and O'Reilly sticking with them at the moment, but you just wonder what damage that Ford Mustang's going to have.
Well, it's like it lost the rear, it clattered the wall and then went into people. And then it's just not turning properly.
We've got 2 breakaway groups really, the top 6 and then the next 7 or 8, maybe 9 or 10 cars. All in a little different category here, so great to see the difference in people at the moment. Gary's ran very wide on the exit curve through the exit to the chicane, but Mike cannot get up his inside and do anything about it. That's just put Gary off the back of Harris a little bit here though.
Yeah, he'll have a warning for that one, I reckon. How wide that was.
Well, here comes Mike.
Yeah, O'Reilly's struggling with a lot of damage.
Well, Mike's coming up the start straight now in towards turn 1. Mike Matthews going up the inside. Oh, he's tapped Gary! Taps him! And they get both. He loses. Mike gains the place. Apologies. Gary holds on to that well. Now he's coming under pressure from Fuchs. And Fuchs gets up the inside of Gary Leach. So Mike Matthews taps Gary. Gary loses 2 places there.
Yeah, Cloudon's keeping down honest at the moment. They're starting to drop Ben.
Yeah, just started to break away from Ben. Will Friedman is on the back of Overtaker, coming down through the dip. And this is where Will Friedman can use his experience. A very experienced sim racer is Will. Raced him on different leagues. Very quick driver. We saw he took a good dominant win. Looked pretty nifty at Watkins Glen last week. He's making his Porsche do all the right things at the moment here. This time around.
Yeah, Kreuzer's definitely lagging. Even though the connection bar isn't going red, but his car's behaving like it's... Not going to watch him for a while, in case it crashes. Right, so Overtaker's starting to lose off to Eckhol while he's defending from Friedman.
Say another little battlefield just behind is Insert Coin on the back of Joseph. Insert Coin just showing what that Honda's capable of before the BOP comes in.
Yeah. Wow. That'd be great to see other cars again. More other cars. With the BOP. Well, I don't think there'll be many of the really old cars like the Jag, the V12 Aston, the M6, which offers racing at the moment. Because they rarely get used now in anything. But it'd be good to see a Bentley get back out there. I miss seeing a Bentley.
Well, downhill they come. Cloudon 7/10 off the back. Ben's just gained on him a little fraction here. And like I say, Eckholt just dropping Overtaker. That's allowing Friedman, who's not as close to Overtaker this time around compared to last. Joseph still got Insert Coin there for company with Harris, Mike, Fuchs, Gary, King, all there. Bit of a gap then back to Pacina. He's got Schundelmeyer having a little look up the inside, but not close enough. Then it's Stein, not a million miles off the back of them two. Then Tobias Hoffer, Ian Gray, and O'Reilly still getting it around, and Kreuzer bringing up the rear. Cloudon's back within 3/10 of Dan Davis, so Cloudon at the minute just trying to put his championship rival under pressure, but Dan, so far tonight, has already extended that gap from 77 to 90 points. Cloudon needs a huge haul of points in this one.
He does. He needs to get in front of Dan and get cars, and Dan needs to have another Watkins Glen, but hopefully that don't happen, because that's not how you win championships.
Well, here comes Insert Coin using the slipstream in the Lamborghini. Down the start straight they come. He's got Joseph just in front of him. And now for Insert Coin, can he get to pull out and have a look late on the brakes, maybe in the Honda? No, thinks better of it. Mike Matthews and Harris are with them now. Fuchs as well, trying to get there. Gary Leach just a little further back. He's got Travis King for company. Sky Schundelmeyer still behind Pacina. Loses out down the straight to Pacina, and that's brought Stein on the back of him.
Yeah, if the only place where the Mustang is really strong is from the final corner, then start being a straight. Overtake the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, difficult to overtake around here though at the moment. As Will Friedman's within a tenth of him, so he's got the fastest lap. Friedman sticking with him and taking now a second to Eckel.
Eckel's pretty close to Ben. Well,
just watching through the middle sector. It's Dan Davis.
Coin's gone off. He's on the grass. He's lost all the way down to behind Stein.
He's lost a good chunk of places there.
I want to go find out what happened.
Lost a good 8 places. Joseph's now got Michael Harris to deal with, then Mike Matthews, and then his teammate Fuchs in this race. Gary Leach still defending from King. Pacina and Schundelmeyer on the back now. Stein and Insert Coin, that is Hoffer, Gray, O'Reilly still going. Pit window opens 37.5 minutes. Cloudon's lost out a bit of time to Dan, Ben. Cloudon's lost out a little bit of time to Dan, Phil. And Ben's gained on Cloudon a little bit. That gap's down to half a second. To 9/10 of a second. Eckholt's half second to Ben. Then it's Overtaker who's still lost time to Eckholt in that sector.
Yeah, I'm just finding out what happened to Coin. Why did Coin lose a huge chunk of time? He's on the back of Joseph. He's coming up the hill into the swoopy part.
Fuchs looking very racy on the back of Mike Matthews here. Just look to the outside of the hairpin. Couldn't get through though. King's also on the back of Gary Leach. Pacina and Sky Schundelmeyer still there. And Kreuz is now within 8/10. I think O'Reilly's had another moment. He's behind Kreuz. That damage looks worse. Gray's had a wiggle on the curb. Sorry, Phil.
Coin just went wide on the curb and went to mow the lawn.
And that's enough for Phil tonight with his silly Honda comments. Well, none of them here is.
But he literally mowed the lawn then, and collected some gravel as well. You don't want that in your front wheel.
No, you don't want that.
If only that did actually happen in the game, we could have cooked the engine for going off the track.
Well, here comes Fuchs on the back of Mike. Mike losing out to Harris just a tad this lap. Overtaker's back within a second now of Eckholt. So this top 6 is really ebbing and flowing. The only consistent is Friedman on the back of Overtaker.
Yeah. And them two have been glued together for a few weeks now, haven't they? Eckholt and Overtaker.
Yeah, they have. Can't really separate them at the moment. And it's Friedman chasing the Overtaker down. And the top 6 all within a second of each other in front.
There's still 13 minutes on the pit window open.
Like we say, it's just ebbing and flowing each way. 1 minute Cloudon gets within a couple of tenths of Dan. The next minute Dan opens that gap back up. It's an interesting one to keep our eyes on at the moment. This is the gap of Friedman and Overtaker we're currently watching. Cloudon again, look, brings that gap down 2 tenths. So Dan clearly has a better first sector.
O'Reilly's
damaged too much. He's got a pit. If he doesn't change fuel and just does his damage, that'll shorten his pit stop time.
He's got a Mustang with extra cooling again. Lifted bonnet.
Cloudon looks a little closer than 3.5 tenths off the back of Dan Davis. Let's see as they come to the second time. Oh, he's gained, no, still 3.5 tenths. Ben's closer to him though. Taker's lost out again to Eckholt. And here comes Will Friedman having a look up the inside. It's just a look for now. Trying to play peekaboo with Overtaker. It didn't really work there.
Fill his mirrors with his white Porsche. Yeah, I think O'Reilly might be in the pits for a good few minutes, even with that damage.
Harris just a little wide on the exit to the chicane. Sorry, Phil. And Mike's
Friedman's on the grass.
Got a bit closer. Friedman's on the grass, manages to keep it together. Mike's a little closer to Harris. And Harris right up Joseph's trumpet as well. And is Harris going to pull out and have a look? Yes, he is. Up the inside into turn 1. And that's a thank you mama for the carrots. Michael Harris using that BMW to his advantage. And Mike Matthews now fancies a move here on Joseph. But backs out of it going through the left-hander. Probably the sensible thing to do. And now Fuchs has come to play. So one move has generated all this change, Phil. Oh, what's happened to Dan? Dan's down to 4th. He's behind the overtaker. He's down to 5th. Could be behind Will Friedman. No, Will Friedman. He's got damage on the left-hand side of the car.
Get back in a sec. On to the replay.
He's also got damage on the front splitter. So where has Dan gone off? He's made another mistake. And now Clouden leads this race from Ben. Clouden's car looks pretty clean. Ben Eckholt, then overtaker, then Dan, then Will Friedman.
I'm investigating.
And is this the swing that Jamal Clouden needed? He was 77 points behind Dan going into tonight. He's lost 13 points.
Oh, Dan just went wide on the curb and it just spit the car into the barrier.
Where at?
So, just out of turn 4. Coming out of turn 4.
So the hairpin.
Yeah. He went on the gravel and then, because he's lost all forward momentum, overtaking it past him. He's just right in front of Friedman.
Well, at the minute, Jamal would gain 18 points, so Jamal would gain 5 over Dan. And we know this isn't Dan's drop score tonight. Yeah, now he's got Friedman to hassle the back of him and a bit of damage to contend with for the rest of this race.
Yeah, so that looked like it was on the curbs. Again.
Joseph has lost out to Fuchs and Mike Matthews. Now he's got Gary and Travis King. Pacina's, insert coin. Where's Sky Schundelmeyer gone? He's dropped down to 16th place. I'm not sure what's happened to Sky. He's lost out to insert coin and Schundelmeyer. O'Reilly is out the pits. He come out the pits. Didn't go a lap down, more importantly. So O'Reilly still on the lead lap. And we've seen his pace. He's been relatively good.
Joseph's off. I don't know if Stein's in the wall.
Yeah.
Stein's stationary. That's going to be return to pits.
Oh, Joseph's slow. Sky Schundelmeyer has gone past him. Joseph is crawling. And Stein returns to the pit lane. Well, he's got to get back in that race, otherwise that will be classed as a second retirement for Stein. A third retirement will be a loss of 25 championship points. And Dan putting pressure on Overtaker here. Phil, really... Overtaker's got the fastest lap, but cannot stick with this top 3. It is... And is that... Oh, no, I think Taker kicked up a bit of dirt there. I was going to say, I thought he might have started to weave, but it looked like he kicked up a bit of dirt. So it's Clouden from Eckholt, from Ben. So Eckholt's got past Ben somewhere in this race. Then it is Overtaker, Dan Davis, Will Friedman. From Michael Harris, Mike Matthews, Mark Fuchs, Gary Leach from Travis King, Matteo Pacina, Naval Insert Coin, Sky Schundelmeyer, Joseph, who is braking on the straight. Is he waiting for Stein to come past him? Stein's left the lobby.
That's a retirement then.
So that is a second retirement. That'll be a quali ban, and Joseph is now very slow.
Joseph went wide on the curb and lost the rear end and faced the other way, and he rejoined Eddie in front of Stein, which puts Stein off, and then Stein hit
Stein's
the
one who's got to put a ticket in for that one.
But
that will be a second qualifying, second retirement then, the way of Stein, and that'll be a qualifying ban coming his way for Zolder. After a good 5th place in race 1 as well. That's a shame for him.
Yeah, it is. It's Joseph's now.
Joseph's returned to the pit lane.
Yeah.
Did O'Reilly go a lap down? It says he's a lap down, so maybe he did.
Maybe he did, but we'll find out when he gets in front of Joseph.
Well, I can't see it saying +1 lap. It does to Harris, but they're all coming across line. In fact, I'll tell you the way to find out. If you go onto timetable, Phil, what lap is Clouden on? He's on lap 10. What lap is O'Reilly on?
O'Reilly is on 8.
Yeah, so he did get that.
He has been that.
In the pit lane. So Stein retirement, that'll be a second retirement for him this season.
Yeah.
Joseph in the pits, he won the first race. Well, let's hope that's not a second retirement of the night. And a retirement for Joseph, because that'll be 2 cars on quali bands for Zolder. It's into Coyne now, trying to put pressure on Pacina. What's happened to Gary? Gary's been passed by King and Pacina and into... Oh, Gary's got big damage on his Porsche.
He has, hasn't he?
Down the right-hand side and all over the rear. Gary... Interesting. Let's take a look at the front of King. No, King looks like he's got a bit of damage. As into Coyne trying to get past Pacina here. Taps the back of the Ford Mustang. Gray's coming, trying to put Tobias Hoffer under pressure. O'Reilly will pass Joseph at the start line, or just after the start line.
Gary lost the rear end and got tagged by King on the curb on the inside of the hairpin.
So there we go. Not sure what Overtaker's doing. I don't know if he's kicked up the dirt again, but
is that the hairpin?
Was in the middle of the road and come back across.
No, that was at the end of the chicane. That's where that happened. Gary clipped the curb and was going the wrong way, and King just tagged him.
Mike Matthews getting close to the back of Michael Harris. The battle of the mics.
As O'Reilly now gets in front of Joseph.
Yeah, so O'Reilly's now ahead of Joseph. That'll be a retirement for Joseph if he doesn't come back out the pit lane.
Eckholt's within 8/10 of... When did Eckholt get in front of Ben?
Ages ago. Did say that.
I was probably looking at the replay both at that point, trying to find out what happened to people.
Well, Mike's lost a little bit of time to Harris. Friedman's trying to chase down Dan, who's lost massively out to Overtaker. Eckholt's now 8/10 ahead of Clouden. Mike having a look up the inside of Michael Harris. Manages to stick a nose there, but Harris will let him have that, because Harris knows he'll have the inside for the next corner. Mike takes a very wide line to swing it in. And well, that's just not going to work for Mike Matthews there. He's got to come up with another plan to try and get past Harris. Harris already goes defensive, coming in towards the chicane. And Mike breaks that a little bit later, gets alongside him. You get the feeling he's going to outbrake himself. No, just keeps a nose there. Not alongside Harris to warrant the room. To be fair, Harris could have easily have shut the door on Mike. Mike wasn't fully alongside, but gives him the space. Great driving between the pair of them. And Mike now tucks underneath. Did Harris just drop a wheel? Mike understeers into Harris. Mike puts Harris in a wall, and Mike bounces round as well. And Harris is now stationary.
That is Mike.
Dan has dropped Will Friedman a couple of seconds. Oh dear, oh dear. Harris gets back going, as does Mike Matthews, and Harris straight into the pits. 3.5 minutes till the pit window opens, and yeah, to me, that looked like Matthews understeered into the side of Harris there.
Unfortunate.
Insert Coins past Pacina. Gary's 8/10 off the back of him. Eckholt's within 6/10 of the leader now. Ian Gray's within 2/10 of Tobias Hoffer. This is down the order for 14th and 15th. They've got a wounded Mike Matthews just in front, and we've lost Michael Harris.
That's another retirement. That'll be a qualifying ban. It will.
It will indeed. So we lose Michael Harris from the night. This is Tobias Hoffer and Ian Gray, 14th and 15th. Looks like Joseph is in the pits, and that could possibly be a retirement as well. Although I did see the dot just flicker on the map, so hopefully he gets back going. In this race. Right, Clouden leads this race. Fastest lap he's done now. She's taken the fastest lap from Overtaker. 8/10 from Eckholt. Then it's Ben in third, comfortably clear of Overtaker, with Dan Davis just behind. Will Friedman behind Dan. Then it is Fuchs from Travis King. Insert coin from Pacina. Gary Leach from Sky Schundelmeyer. Mike Matthews, Tobias Hoffer with Ian Gray, Kreuzer, O'Reilly. Joseph retired. We've also lost Stein and Harris from the race. And insert coin now. 2/10 off the back of Travis King. Insert coin's making some overtakes here. Bit of dust kicked up in front. That may have been from Fuchs. But insert coin on a real charge at the moment.
Yeah, the Honda's working well, isn't it? It really is working well. As I'm just checking to see anything saved.
So here comes insert coin on the back of King. Eckholt still within 8/10 of Clouden at the moment. Dan still 1.3 behind overtaker and just pulls a bit more over Will Friedman at this stage of the race. Pit window opens actually in 10 seconds time. So for any of these boys, they could probably
drive
straight into the pits. I think that's what O'Reilly's waiting for. No, O'Reilly's just moving out the way of Clouden. So all the leaders could have possibly came into the pit lane. Is Dan going to dive straight in? No, he's not. He's going to stay where he is. So now it's going to be interesting to see what insert coin Fuchs and King do, because Fuchs is just ahead of this fight here. King straight in, and insert coin's going to come straight in as well.
Casino stays out.
Them two straight into the pit lane. Gary Leach in, he's got damage. I'm not surprised. Wouldn't surprise me if we've seen Mike in. Mike's car doesn't look too bad. He mainly spun though, and Mike, yep, straight in.
Straight in for Mike. Hoffer is staying out. Grayson. Gray's got a little bit of damage as well.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me from Gary. King clearly looking to try and undercut maybe that of Fuchs. The closest fight on circuit is this of Jamal Clouden on what is his 50th race appearance here in race 2. So could be a great way to bring up the milestone, Phil.
It could be, yeah. My 50th race was in F1, wasn't it?
Don't know.
I think it was. Yeah, I don't know. As Eckholt is back on Clouden. It'll be interesting to see, will Eckholt try the undercut?
Well, yeah, let's wait to see what he does.
He does. He's in. Oh, that looks quick.
So he comes in. Will Dan Davis think coming in to get that damage repaired possibly? Yep, he's in.
Dan's in this time.
Fuchs has got Schundelmeyer, so Schundelmeyer's been given the clear air to Fuchs. Did Fuchs maybe make a mistake this lap? King and insert coin out. Mike's out, Gary's out, Ian Gray's out. So Mike and Ian Gray jumped Gary because Gary had the damage to his car.
Sky's all over the back of Fuchs.
He is. But none of them decide to pit at the moment.
No. Track temp 31. I swear we had it hotter in GT4s, didn't we?
Track temp's 31. Well, yeah, but I think GT4s was hard today anyway.
As this is closest battle now is Fuchs versus Sky. Because pit stops are now coming in, so as long as spread the gaps out and things and stuff. Oh, 30. Eckholt's got speed, and I said that was quick.
Yeah, you said it was quick. You said it was quick. That's going to help Dan Davis and a few others out. In fact, Dan Davis jumped Eckholt in the pit, so Dan didn't repair that damage, and he jumped Eckholt in the pit. So he's already gone wide. Has Dan, but that'll help. That'll basically put one car less between Dan and Clouden, so giving Dan a few extra points here.
Yeah, it would. I did say that looked quick coming in.
So Joseph,
pit lane. Oh, Ben's in. Clouden's in.
Joseph looks like he's possibly retired from this race. Clouden and Ben are in. Overtaker in as well. So Will Friedman will lead this race. Here comes Pacina. O'Reilly was coming down the start straight. He's not going to pit. Gary's a lap down on the pack, but he'll unlap himself here. Does Pacina think of boxing? Schundelmeyer is still behind Fuchs. And here comes Pacina, going to use the horsepower down the straight of that Ford Mustang. He stays out, and Fuchs and Schundelmeyer are going to come into the box, and Schundelmeyer misses the pit entry. I think was going to box and slammed on the anchors to not hit the back of Fuchs and misses pit entry.
Yep, but he's gone round to do another lap.
So
Overtaker's
Sky
done his
Schundelmeyer
stop.
there. Incredible. Taker's done. Clouden's
Taker's done.
not... He's not changed tyres.
Taker's not changed tyres, no. Clouden has, I reckon.
I don't think Overtaker changed tyres there, because I think that Overtaker has gone for this. Dan's jumped Ben, showing how strong the undercut is.
Yep.
Now, was Taker a little quicker on entry than Clouden? The gap's not huge, but if that's a change of tyres for Clouden over Overtaker, well,
it's going to come into play later.
it is going to come into play later. Eckholt back in. Kreuzer still not pitted. Fuchs has just come out. Kreuzer carries on his way. O'Reilly still to pit at the moment as well. But Ben now the closest fight with Dan Davis. Dan's carrying that bit of damage as well. So these two can redo their Thruxton rivalry. Revive it, if you will. Stop go cleared for Eckholt, who has just gone a lap down to Will Friedman.
Yeah, but it's not a long pit lane here, is it really?
Well,
it's quite a short pit lane.
I can tell you the time that we would lose to Eckholt. Stein apparently in the Discord was disconnected. So I can bring up what you'd lose for a stop-go penalty. Because time loss with tyre change is 30 seconds at Zandvoort. You would lose 54 seconds. You only lose 56% of the lap. So not a huge loss. Pacina and Schundelmeyer and Tobias Hoffer in. And Dan just starting to gap Ben now. So he looks like he started to get that one done. And Clouden now within a second of Overtaker. Gary Leach within half a second of Eckholt. But you imagine Eckholt's going to pull away. His tyres would have cooled a little nicer after doing a lap.
But it's like it was quick.
So
O'Reilly, never giving up.
Yeah, carrying on. That's what proves you always go to the end in these races.
I reckon O'Reilly won't pit until right near the end of the
Clouden's
window,
within
to be
6
honest.
tenths of Overtaker here, Phil. And this,
Yeah,
for me, Dan's now got ahead of Ben and Pacina. And Eckholt. Overtaker, I don't think, changed tyres, whereas Clouden, I think, did. Look at the speed Clouden has over Overtaker.
Yeah, that's definitely fresher rubber on Clouden's car.
It just looks it, doesn't it? Just looks it already at this stage of the race.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Ben and Dan are battling as well.
Yeah, so did Ben change tyres? Because, yeah,
Did
you
Dan?
know, Overtaker, well, did Dan as well, yeah. Because Overtaker jumped Ben as well.
But look how much pace that Clouden's got over Overtaker.
He's just got so much more grip coming out the final corner. Eckholt's on the back of Gray. They're going to stick with this for the battle in the race lead. Clouden over Overtaker. Overtaker goes to defend. Can come back in the braking zone, but he can't now because Clouden's to the outside halfway through the race. The chat voted Dan Davis to win this one. And let's see if he will. But Clouden at the minute driving like he wants to win a championship and try and come back on Dan. The problem is the cars aren't between him like they need to be.
No, he needs to get in front of Taker because that'll put one car between them, and Ben to get in front of Dan as well.
And Clouden really pushing the back of Overtaker here.
He is.
He
He's
is
all over
driving like his season depends on it.
because it does.
Every race from here has to be like Clouden's
Clouden's
going to
on
win
the
the title.
inside.
He does go for the move though here. Here comes Jamal and he gets it done before the next corner. Clouden makes the move. Great driving from Jamal Clouden. Ben still on the back of Dan, but that was a quality move, Phil.
That was a quality move. He's given us a little flash as well.
Jamal Clouden, fantastic. Ben looks quicker than Dan as well at this stage of the race. And already you can see the gap that Cloudham's put between himself and Overtaker. It is massive.
Yeah, fresher rubber. Taker must not change tyres.
Yeah, I agree. Gray's lost out to Gary and to Echo. Echo on a charge to come back up the order here. Ben within
Dan
3/10 of Dan
defend.
Davis. Yeah, Dan's already gone defensively. What's Ben going to do? Oh, that was close. That was close to the back of Dan.
It was very close. Kreuser's now into the pits. Just leaves Friedman left to pit.
Yeah, O'Reilly's just done his stop. Going to the end is O'Reilly. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
And look at that, O'Reilly's kept going. We've lost Harris, we've lost Stein, Joseph's retired.
As well.
You know, so what does that mean?
Friedman's
That means
pushing
an
it.
extra 3 places for Riley in this one.
It does, yeah, and that's extra points as well. So, just shows, don't ever give up.
No, exactly. DJ Phil's not got the most race starts at SimPlay Motorsport because he gives up, has he?
No,
Let's
exactly.
be honest. And to be fair, in comparison, Dean's done quite a lot, similar to DJ Phil, but Dean Wisocki is nearly 130 races less than Phil.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Because Dean sometimes just gives up, and that's the biggest problem.
Cloudham fastest lap.
Gary will be. He's had fastest lap for a while, Phil.
Might be a new one, I want to check.
Fair enough. Gary is on his 349th race start, so his 350th might be the GT4s on Tuesday evening. That will be Dean Wisocki's 250th. And Dan and Ben both gaining on Overtaker. I think with Overtaker losing out is just proving that he did not change the tyres at the stop. We're down watching Sky and King. Also, Eckholt's just got past Tobias Hoffer. Gary's going up the inside of Tobias Hoffer. That is a 2-for-1 deal you won't get anywhere else.
Well, maybe it's Hester. So you buy one and you get one free.
Dan Davis within 9/10 of Overtaker now. Sky Shundlemeyer though on the back of Travis King. As Dan now just loses a couple of tenths. He's still got Ben with him as Dan. Now if him and Ben work together, they could both be on the podium here past Overtaker. Ben, I think, looking for his first podium of the season. I don't believe Ben has got a podium since joining SimPlay. Yes, he has. He got a second in his first ever race at Brands Hatch. But since then, his highest finish has been 7th. So, could rectify that tonight. Obviously, that Brands Hatch first race, I think he lost out to Wesley Kuiper at Brands Hatch in his debut, where the reverse grid put Ben on the front row of it.
Does.
Will Friedman into the pit lane. Phil, we're currently on board Dan Davis watching this fight. I just need to step away.
Yeah, as I'm just checking to see, Friedman is down and away. He's about halfway down the pit lane. Does he jump Overtaker? He does not. No, he's behind Ben. So, but he's close to the back of Ben. As I'm now going to look, what's the next nearest battle? Mike Matthews against Mark Fuchs for P10. Mike is within 0.2 of a second, even though on my screen it looks a lot closer than that. And also we've got Gray with Hoffer as well for P14 and 15. But meanwhile, Cloudham is now starting to check out. He's now 4.5 seconds up the road from Overtaker. With Overtaker now just starting to defend from Dan, who's defending from Ben, and Will Friedman's with him as well. And then there's about a 20-second gap until insert coin in P6. Placina P7. Sky is in P8. About a second and a half in front of Travis King. But the other battle, Leach is in a bit of no man's land at the moment, as Eckholt's disappearing up the road. Or Hoffa's defending hard from Gray for P14 in the aging BMW M6 GT3. Kreuzer is somewhere. O'Reilly's just showing the Spirit of the Race award for never giving up. Dan is he's sliding from Ben. As now Ben's now in the clutches of Friedman. Is Dan's damage starting to hurt him a little bit in this battle? As the second, third, fourth and fifth are all within a second and a half of each other. Overtake is now 6.2 seconds behind Clouden. As the pit window is about to slam shut in 10 seconds time. As I'm looking for other battles, still we've got the Gray and Hoffa battle, and you've got the Matthews and Fuchs battle, but the battle for second is most interesting, as Dan is trying to keep in front of Ben as they go into the chicane.
Well, Clouden has that good gap, doesn't he? And Will Friedman's joined onto the back of this train, so clearly Overtaker maybe didn't change the tyres in this race, but Clouden's done what he needed to do, and well, Will Friedman's got a chance of a podium, so has Ben, and so has Dan. This four could be any way here in this race. Just down the order as well, Mike Matthews is gaining on Fuchs, and Ian Gray's gaining on Tobias Hoffa once again, but it's Dan Davis trying to get past Overtaker, but Dan's still with that damage to his car, Phil, that's possibly just costing him that bit of time.
Yeah, that's what I also said. It might be hurting him a little bit in the corners, because that's where you need the aero to generate the grip, even though GT3 cars have nowhere near as much aero as, say, a Formula car or a World Endurance hypercar, with Aston Martin renderings or with their hypercar as well, which should be fantastic next year. Real racing news. Sky's closing on Pacina. That's within one of the bit second, man. So
yeah, that's down a little bit more. Sky was on the back of Pacina, I do believe, as the pit stop round come through. That's for 7th and 8th at the moment in this race. But so far so good if you are Jamal Clouden. 7.9 seconds up the road, just dominating in his 50th race appearance here. And for Dan Davis, well, he's really got to try and find a way past Overtake, because at the minute he's going to lose at least 10 points, I believe it is, to his championship rival. Let me just take a look. Yeah, lose at least 10 points. So Dan would have gained, what, 3 plus the fastest lap. Dan would have gained about 2 points over Clouden, which is fine. You know, going into the final 2 races, that gap will still be 70-something points. But, you know, Clouden will be open that Ben and Will can try and get past Dan. Dan will want to try and get past Overtaker to have at least come away with maybe a gain over Clouden in this today's event.
Yeah, Sky's right at the back of Pacina now. And Mike's all over the back of Fuchs. Yeah, Gray still can't find his way past Hoffa.
He's been behind Tobias Hoffa, hasn't he, for a lot of the night, and that's been one of the problems for Ian Gray tonight. Just hasn't been able to get through. And Overtaker's just gapping Dan a little bit here. That gap's gone up to 0.6 of a second, so it's just not happening at the minute for Dan.
Right, Gray's having a look on the run down to the chicane, but Hoffa's got the inside line for the first part.
Gray's gone deep. That puts that one to bed for a little bit.
Yeah, that weren't ever going to work, was up there. Meanwhile, the battle for second rages, because it is still a battle for second.
Dan's brought the gap down a couple of tenths to Overtaker, and Ben's having a look on Dan. Just goes a little deep. That's going to allow Will to try and tuck underneath. And I believe Ben's had to go a little deep on exit. Will can't find the momentum out the corner though to get through.
No, he can't. Coyne's having this phase of a race, a very quiet race. He's kind of all on his own. He
is all on his own at the minute. So Ben's lost out a bit of time to Dan Davis. That's going to hurt Ben here just a little bit. But with Dan having that little bit of damage, you feel that maybe, just maybe, he can get back onto the rear of Dan Davis in this race.
Yeah, as Overtaker is driving a defensive line.
He sort of goes into the middle of the road, doesn't he? Defends.
Yeah.
What Overtaker's doing is exactly what you're allowed to do. Into the middle of the road, come back on the braking zone. You're allowed to do that, as opposed to what we saw in race 1.
Yeah. He's just sort of covering off Dan enough, seeing Dan's not gone for the move, and then go back to the braking zone.
Well, it's Sky Schundelmeyer who is trying to get past Matteo Pessina at the moment. That's 0.2 of a second. Fuchs has got Mike Matthews coming for him. That's down for P10 and 11.
Can Sky get past Pessina though? Because he's done it in turn 4. Down the inside. Lovely move by Sky.
Well, there we go. We missed that one, but Sky does get through. Dan Davis now within 2.5 tenths. Look at this. Coming in towards the final couple of corners. A real quartet of cars here.
It could be it could end in tears, couldn't it? Hopefully not, because
we'd hope so, because this has been a fantastic scrap.
Oh,
Will's having a look on Ben. He's not close enough at the minute, and I don't think he would have done it because of how close Dan is to Ben, given the nature of that corner. And at the moment, it is going the way of Overtaker for P2, and Cloudon will want this. Cloudon will want this. It negates what Dan gains over him in this championship battle.
It does, and there you go. Overtaker looking to defend again. Ben's
looking on Dan. Yeah, Ben side by side with Dan coming down the start straight. This is what Cloudon will want even more. Ben going up the inside of Dan Davis, the current championship leader. He has that inside line. Ben gets the move done. Dan tucks in between him and Will Friedman, and that just puts Friedman off a little bit. But Dan down to third now, down to fourth. Great move from Ben.
Gray and Hoffer are off. I think they've come together at the top end of the circuit.
Yeah, that's just ahead of the race leader as well. And Hoffer still ahead of Gray at the moment. Mike Matthews within 0.2 of Fuchs. Is Mike Matthews going to pull out and have a look on Fuchs? Here he is going to pull out. Is he going to go up the inside and send one? No. Thinks better of it.
But now, can Ben, who has a slightly fresher looking car, get past the Overtaker?
He's trying around
Overtaker defended the line, and so Dan's back on the inside, but the next corner's a left-hander.
Taker just being a nuisance here, isn't he? He clearly doesn't have the grip of the other cars, but what I mean by being a nuisance is he's just putting his car exactly where Overtaker needs to put it. There is nothing wrong with what Overtaker is doing right now. No,
he's just defending hard. He's not weaving. He's not moving about in the braking zones.
Yeah.
And Lawrence Sharp are being unpredictable. He's driving the car exactly as he has to.
Will Friedman pretty much pushing Dan through these final couple of corners. And here he comes, the Porsche driver. Does he use the slipstream of Dan Davis, who already goes defensive? Now Will Friedman comes back across. Dan can try and open up the corner a little bit. Friedman is alongside, so he can't come fully across. And as you see there, Dan just comes across enough to be able to open up the corner for him. Friedman tries to tuck underneath on the exit here. Does Friedman have a car alongside? No, he does not. And cannot get past. But this is what Cloudon will be wanting. Dan under pressure from these three drivers. And as that stands then, with the fastest lap of the race, Cloudon will score 14 points more than Dan. Plus fastest lap, that'll be 15 points. It's only small, but Cloudon will gain 2 points over Dan tonight.
He will, yeah. Every little helps. There's another Tesco reference.
So Ben trying to get on the podium once again.
Yeah. But he's the youngest driver in the field, isn't he? At 14.
He is 14, yeah. Yeah, youngest driver in the field. So great to see this from Ben. Is he having a look at Overtaker there? Now I thought he was. Friedman not able to get past Dan at the moment.
Meanwhile,
boy, oh boy, it's been a good night. Driver of the day is going to be difficult.
It is. I still don't really want to give it to O'Reilly because he hasn't given up. He's still there, isn't he? It's still circulating.
I don't think realistically O'Reilly's in the shout of it now.
Well,
with whatever
Joseph's
happened.
Not
and no, Joseph isn't either. Dan is now a second behind Ben and Overtaker because of the amount of pressure that Friedman is putting on the 8-time champ. Here comes Overtaker to Ben. Overtaker back to the braking zone. He can't move anymore. Friedman's going to have a look up the inside. He's not close enough, though. And backs out. That one breaks a little earlier. And Overtaker coming under some immense pressure from Ben now.
Meanwhile, Mike has dropped off a bit from the back of Fuchs. It's now got opened up to second and a half. And Gray has finally got in front of Hoffer.
Taker is struggling on these tyres, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was, you know, like a little bit cooler. You could probably let the tyres last the whole stint. But in this heat, if you've got the option to change tyres, you change tyres. Because what's more important, grip or track position?
Well, that's it, isn't it? You know, it's what's better for the car. And I think on a track like this, on a warm day, you want them tyres changed.
Yeah, you want the grip. You've got the option. Look at squirrely Undertaker's car was.
Yeah, but with the nature of this circuit, Ben can't get past him. Dan couldn't get past him. Ben can't get past him now. So could have been risk and reward for Overtaker tonight.
Could be, yeah. Well, look how well Dan defended in that Retio of a few seasons back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the only real heavy braking point for overtaking is into turn 1, and if you've got the ponies.
Oh, take a wide, Ben wide, Ben's round! Ben's in the wall!
Oh!
Ben's in the wall! And that puts to end a third place podium for Ben.
Yeah, that's so unlucky.
As insert coins coming around the final corner, there he is.
Ben.
He's fine, plenty of time. That's going to put insert coin up to P5. That is a shame.
That is a shame. Look how quick Sky's catching insert coin.
Sky's been rapid. Sky's been rapid. So now for Clouden, he loses them couple of points back to Dan Davis now that Dan's back up into third place and on the podium.
Yeah. But Taker to breathe a sigh of relief there.
Yeah, you can.
But he ran wide and Ben followed him wide.
Yeah.
We know once you go on the green stuff, it's very bumpy.
It is through there. We saw last night in Pro-Am, it does three things. It either spears your left, it spears your right, or you manage to just have a wiggle and keep going. What Clouden needs now is Will Friedman in this last 11 minutes to get past Dan Davis.
He does, yeah. Oh, that was so unfortunate for Ben that time round.
That's 2 weeks in a row Ben's come, agonisingly close to a podium.
It is, yeah. And that car's going to be wounded.
Yeah, and he can't pit. He's got to keep going. Sky's going to get onto the back of him, but what's the gap? Sky behind.
Oh, Dan's on the grass.
Yeah, that's going to compromise his run. Friedman pulls to the outside line now. Is this going to be Will Friedman's chance to have a look around the outside? I think he's going to not be able to do so. They just bump wheel to wheel. And both keep going. But both cannot do anything at the moment.
And what's their battle? And this is helping Overtaker to maintain second place.
This is all helping Overtaker just keep that second place. And at the moment, this has been fantastic. If you have liked what you've seen here, don't forget to hit that bell to be notified. And the thumbs up button, as well as hit that subscribe button, as well as if you are new to the channel. Check out the sponsors, Audio Sport and Design Manchester, in the description. But what an absolute outstanding race this has been. Been a few incidents, Phil, but this has been a classic race. And really, we're seeing two veterans in Dan Davis and Overtaker putting on masterclasses and showing why they're two of SimPlay's finest.
Showing why they're two of SimPlay's pro champions as well.
Yeah. I mean, where is Overtaker? This is his 132nd race, so he's quite the way down the list. Next person he'll catch will be Keegs. Blast from the past. So he's down the list. He's the 24th most experienced driver in terms of race starts, is Overtaker. Dan is 6th, just behind Mike Matthews. And Smokey Devil, but we'll gain on Smokey because these last few races.
Dan's trying to defend.
Yeah, I don't think Friedman's close enough at the moment.
No.
Interesting one, Phil. Interesting one indeed. And we haven't even got to speak about the bop at the moment.
No.
Right.
Maybe we need to do an end of season stream where we just discuss what the bop's going to be and how it's going to work into the new season, if it's agreed on.
I nearly typed driver of the season in there. That's for 2 weeks' time.
If only it was.
We're going to go Cloud. In fact, no, Cloud didn't have the best race one, did he? Do you know what? Insert Coin had a good race one.
Yeah, he's having a not bad race too, to be honest.
Dan Davis had a decent race one. Overtaker had a good race one. And who else had a good race one? Sky Schundelmeyer. Sky Schundelmeyer, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Ben will slow Sky down. I think they'll probably change positions. There, though, is the driver of the day pole up. Who is car 21? That's Tobias Hoffer that these guys have just lapped.
It is.
But yeah, what a race. What a race this has been. Dan's, look at that, defending aggressively to Will Friedman there. Will's going to try and commit to that inside. Dan comes back to the outside. Will Friedman having a look. Oh, now they're getting racy between the pair of them.
About 7 minutes.
Still 7 minutes left of this. Eckholt's on the back of Fuchs. Mike's got ahead of Fuchs by some 5 seconds. So we've missed that while watching this gigantic battle for second, third, fourth place before Ben had his spin. But it is Will Friedman who's putting Dan under some pressure now. And Dan back within a second of Overtaker. Here comes Friedman. Oh no, thought about it though, didn't he?
He thought about it. He's still there.
He is still there. He's more alongside. He's going to go up the inside into the left-hander. He put his nose there. Dan had to go a little wide. Is Dan going to come back at him? They made contact. Dan is in the wall.
Yeah. Okay, but Friedman didn't do nothing really wrong there, did he?
I don't know if he just had a wiggle. And that's the rear end wiggle. That's what put him into that. Not sure. That's going to be an interesting one to look at. But Dan Davis down to fourth. Eckholt's on the back of Fuchs. Let's drop down the order. No, Eckholt has dropped off the back of Fuchs for the time being. Now Will Friedman. Can you get second place of Overtaker? But that is what Clouden wants. And depending on Dan's damage, can Insert Coin get ahead of him?
Coin is 10 seconds behind Dan.
TJ Phil's just said that Dan Davis was his driver of the day and has now deleted that comment.
Oh, Coin's a little wide.
So
keep it steady, Coin.
I don't know if DJ Phil's decided that Dan was his driver of the day and now isn't. Either way, that's the bonus about the vote. When you vote, you can't unvote. You know, it's gone.
Nope. I'll tell you what, Friedman is on Overtaker already.
Yeah, we're currently watching Eckholt on Fuchs at the moment. Let's go and have a look at Friedman on Overtaker. I feel like we've watched this this battle for second. As two have fell away, two more stand tall. Clouden, by the way, 18 seconds, and Friedman's going for it where he did Dan last time around. Not this time. Not far enough alongside.
But it just shows how much grip his Porsche's got if he did change tyres.
And it just shows the lack of grip Overtaker's got if he didn't change tyres, which I think you can clearly see. Clouden is 18 seconds up the road. He was not that far ahead of Overtaker before the pit stops.
No.
So, that for me, Overtaker did not change tyres.
No, I'm sure Taker was tell us in the post-race interview. Friedman didn't join last week when I invited him in, but there you go. But good night for.
He's having a look.
What?
No.
He's having.
It's better of it. Guy's getting close to
Eckholt.
Ben. Yeah, I'm just dropping down there myself. Eckholt not really on the rear of Fuchs just yet. Having a
Taker's
look,
defending.
though. Oh, he is. Goes right across the track. Friedman comes back the other way. Friedman's going to pass him in the straight line. Overtaker's got to do this one on the brakes. Friedman turns in. He's already got Overtaker done. Has to go that little wider. Manages to pull it back to the apex. And Overtaker's just not got the grip, Phil. Just hasn't got the grip, but Friedman gets it done.
Friedman does get it done.
Eckholt's past Fuchs. So Eckholt's now got 5.9 seconds to Mike. That's not really going to be doable unless Mike has a moment.
And if only Eckholt didn't have that drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. That must have been literally a mile an hour over to be just a drive-through. And
Mike 5.1 to King. King's had a good race. You know, top 10.
King has had
good result for King.
King's had a very good race.
So that will mean that Jamal Clouden will gain 2 points over Dan Davis. Look at that, by the way. Dan's already pulled nearly 1 second out of Overtaker this lap. So there's what, about 2 more laps to go after this. And Dan is taking bits out of Overtaker. Even though Dan's car might have that bit of damage, Overtaker's tyres just look like they've gone off a cliff. Within a lap, he's lost 2 seconds to Friedman.
Yeah.
Dan could be on for a third here. This isn't against this isn't done. There you go. DJ Phil. He's Dan's biggest fan ever on SimPlay. There we go.
Do you feel a little bit hurt right now, then, Matt?
Why?
if he lost the love of DJ Phil.
I understand why Phil is Dan's biggest fan. I get it. 9-time champion, potentially. Current 8-time champion, you know. I understand it. I get it. Dan's a good driver. Now, had he said commentator, I'd have felt insulted. I can't win Tracy over. I can't win Tracy over. You can't win all the battles, Pierre. Can't win all the battles. No, it's a pleasure to commentate alongside yourself and Dan Davis. Fantastic commentators, and we bring you as best action as we can all season. But Dan, 3.3, he's taking time out. Sorry, I was watching Dan a little bit there. Tibbs on the back of Ben, that's only half a second. I don't think Ben's holding Tibbs up. I think Tibbs is slowly gaining on him.
Yeah, I just put the Gary in his car's looking rather battle wounded. He's about to be lapped by Clouden.
On board with Sky Shundlemeyer. Currently Dan Davis has the vote for driver of the day. Sky again showing pace. In fact, to be fair, Insert Coins just in front of these two. Dan's got the gap down to overtaken out to 3 seconds. Leader is on the final lap. So I don't think Dan's going to get close enough. Chris, need to start the race an hour earlier. Ben gets tired. That's the expand. That's what they're sticking to. Oh dear, love that. That's
tired at 14. Try being in your 40s and you're tired all the time. Something's happened to Coin because he's lost a lot of time to Ben and Sky.
Ben's right here. We're on the Ben and Sky battle.
Is Coin low on fuel? Question mark.
Possibly. He's had good pace. Dan's got the gap down to 2.8. Where's Clouden? Top end of the circuit. Oh, Ben's gone up the inside. Insert Coins, let them go. Insert Coins, let them go. Oh, what a shame.
I think that's fuel.
Yeah, what a shame. But here comes Jamal Clouden on his 50th race start. Absolutely fantastic. 50 races in to his SimPlay career. Fighting for a championship in his second ever season. And Jamal Clouden is putting on a masterclass in this second race. Comes up to the penultimate corner now, Phil. What a drive from this man in this second race. Didn't have it easy in the first. No. But he's done exactly what he needed to in the second. Jamal Clouden, 50 races in. And he's going to take another race win. I've just noticed Joseph has moved out the pit lane. That is a retirement and still a qualifying ban. Clouden also fastest lap of the race. Will Friedman down the order. Second place. Good drive for Will Friedman tonight. Backing up the win he had on his debut at Watkins Glen. Will Friedman takes the second place. Overtaker, well, couple more laps. And I reckon
Dan might have had him.
I reckon Dan would have had him. But Clouden overtake here, comes to the line, and that is going to be P3. Dan Davis will take P4. Ben, 5th place ahead of Schundelmeyer. Insert coin, he's rolling. Pesina's past him. Pesina is past him.
Is anyone kind enough to give Coin a push?
He has ran out of fuel. Here comes Pesina. He gets through. Mike Matthews is going to come to the line and take P8 away from Insert Coin. That is heartbreaking for the Honda driver. Eckholt will come and take P9 as well. And I tell you what, Gary Leach might get an extra position here. Here comes Travis King. Who comes across for 10th. Fuchs gets 11th. What has happened though to Insert Coin? He stopped. So Gary's going to get 12th place. Gary is going to get 12th place in this race. Oh
Gary's
no! Is he pushing him?
He's giving him a push. Gary,
is Gary going to sacrifice that 12th place? Is Gary going to stay P13? I absolutely love that from Gary Leach. Was Gary's not in it. And I tell you what, everybody else has just gained points where they possibly wouldn't have gained points. Here comes the 197 of Joseph. You cannot come out. Oh, Gary just tapped him. You cannot come out the pit lane and do the final lap. Oh, Gary's
Gary.
Yeah, Gary 13th. Look, that's the final classification. Insert Coin will take P12. Tobias Hoffer 16th place. Sky Schundelmeyer across the line. That was P6. Insert Coin 12th in the end. Gary Leach, what a hero. Driver of the day just for that moment right there. Pesina P7. Fuchs come across for 11th place. Ben, sad that he dropped it behind Overtaker, was really putting him under pressure. He comes across the line for 5th. If you're wondering why I'm doing this to random order, I'm inputting the results on the spreadsheet. Eckholt come across for 9th. Kreuzer 14th place. Didn't really see much of him in this race. That, though, is the race done. We're just going to have a quick check at the drop scores. Everything looking pretty fine so far in terms of drop scores. Yeah, all good there, all good there, all good there, and all good there. Right, so that then is the championship round 20 in the bag. And well, what a drive, Jamal Clouden. Hopefully Clouden and Dan Davis will come in, as well as possibly Eckholt from race 1. Oh no, Dan didn't get on the podium, did he? Friedman got on the podium, apologies. Your championship order before we get into the driver interviews. Dan Davis leads by 75 points. So he's only lost 2 points tonight. Can't be too disheartened with that from Jamal Cloud. And Overtaker gains on Dan Davis as well. That gap's down to 136. It's only them 3 that can now win the championship. You feel Overtaker's pretty much out of it from this point, but he'll fight hard till the very end. We know that for sure. Michael Harris is 4th from Eckholt P5. Gary Leach up to 6th ahead of RB Racing. Insert Coin is 8th from Sky Schundelmeyer 9th. Mike Matthews in 10th from Ian Gray. Ben P12 Pesina up to 13th. Tobias Hoffer down in 14th. Fuchs from Dennis Newman, Stein King. Will Friedman, O'Reilly, Burton, Flem Speed 1. Joe Bates from then Saber, Kyle, Mitrovican, Kreuzer, Joseph, and Clarbel. And in the Constructors' Championship, then it's a 194 point gap, all but done for SimPlay Racing. They can wrap that championship up next week over Team FBR. Quantum Apex, who have been solo really for quite a few weeks now, since Nova's not been able to race due to the birth of his daughter. They're P3. Greasy Bandit's been on their own since week 4. Since week 1, they're P4. Jaeger Motorsport, last low driver, 2 weeks in, they're P5. GK Racing been on their own for the last couple of weeks, they're P6. Effect Motorsport 7th with BSP in 8th. They're the first real independent team that's been there all season. Effect Motorsport 2 P9, Vorta Racing P10, and FSO P11. We are joined in the commentary box by Overtaker at the moment, the one and only driver in the box. Overtaker, first question: did you change your tyres in race 2?
You know it, I didn't. I channeled inner Matthew Duffin and just go for it.
Just go for it. It was a nearly came off you. It was a couple of minutes from the end. Did they really sort of die on them last couple of laps?
No, actually, I don't know what you saw on the stream, but the tires were dead from, let's say, 40 minutes in the race. I was doing high 37s, so the pace dropped a lot, but yeah, like for a couple of weeks now I had pad problems again, so it was quite difficult to race again.
difficult race again, but what a race it was. Yourself and Eckholt in race 1, you was not far off the back of Clouden and Eckholt in race 2. You had Ben in the mix, Will Friedman in the mix, and Dan in the mix. There was 6 of you that was really, really working hard, and either one of you at the start of this second race could have taken that race win.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I haven't changed tires, because I saw we were a big group together in a couple of seconds, and I thought to myself, if I can jump all of them, which I did, I can maybe hold them up and they fight between each other and make mistakes. That's kind of happened, but yeah, I did some mistakes myself, but I'll take P3.
P3, good result. We head to Zolder next time out over in Belgium. What can you do around there?
I detest the track, but I seem to go quite well there. So expecting a bit fight again, because the grid is super close, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it indeed as well. Just want to chat to you really about the BOP system possibly coming in for next season, which might make a certain Bentley a little favourable. Are you possibly going to be looking at returning to the Bentley next year?
I've looked into it. I haven't had time to test it. I am extremely hyped to be in the Bentley again. If there's a chance the Bentley is competitive, I'm gonna pick it 100%. There's a couple of other cars I'm looking for, because I'm a bit tired of McLaren, if I'm honest. I've been driving it for 2 seasons and I feel like I'm stuck on pace. The others have caught up to me and I haven't really improved, so I think I'm in need for a change. But before I do anything, that I need to fix my pet issues.
Yeah.
I really don't know what it is, so I have to look into it for the next season.
Well, hopefully you can get that sorted for the next season. Overtaker, congratulations on your results tonight. We'll see you next week.
Yep, thanks, and congrats to Clouden as well. Nice overtake.
Indeed. Just catching up with a bit of the chat here. Sorry, Tracy. Oh my God, Matt, you're awesome. And you all do a commentator. Great job. I'm just playing, Tracy. Don't worry, Matt's my biggest GT4 fan, says DJ Phil. Ben's best finish in the hour race. That's great to hear from Ben. Micro J, some great drives tonight. Overtakers defending, Friedman's bumper to bumper racing, and Clouden's pace blitzed it. The Ripper, Gary, driver of the day. Lightning McQueen says, Chris in the chat, good racing everyone. Ben will get the podium before the end. And Chloe Davis with the congratulations emoji, I think that is. But we can speak with the race winner from race 2, and that is Jamal Clouden. Jamal, well, really, it was, getting past Dan at the start and then controlling the race, but Overtaker made it tricky for yourself.
He did, but I knew that he didn't change tyres. I knew that he was gonna, well, when I saw that he jumped me in the pits, I just knew to say that, right, I got this race in the bag because I got the pace, the grip was there, the car just felt absolutely on form like all week, so I just knew that I was gonna overtake him eventually. So it wasn't too tricky.
Not too tricky at all. Now, fantastic pace from you. Just talk us about race 1 a little bit, because that didn't seem to go your way. You seem to be stuck in a bit of traffic and allowed your championship rival to beat you in that one.
Yeah, the traffic, it was just carnage at the beginning. Like, I was just trying to be cautious but also try to attack. Yeah, it just didn't go right. I got jumped by Gary Leach, got stuck behind him. I mean, big shout out to him, it was a good battle. But yeah, pretty much that's where I lost all of my time, was just getting stuck behind Gary.
Zolder next week, what can you do around there? You gained 2 points over Dan tonight, so 75 points in it. You've really got to sort of leave everything out there now, haven't you?
Yeah, 100. I mean, Zolder, I love Zolder. I'm really comfortable at Zolder, so yeah, we'll see next week.
We'll see next week indeed. Well, hopefully it goes well for you. Dan Davis gets the vote for driver of the day in the chat from the fans. Phil, your driver of the day and final comments.
Well, I really want to give driver of the day now to Gary for pushing Coin across the line. I think it was brilliant sportsmanship. Driver of the day, Overtaker, because 2 second places, solid note by him.
Yeah, I'm going to go the way of Overtaker as well. Great night for him, but honourable mention to Gary Leach for pushing insert coin over the line at the end where nobody else did. Very nicely done. We head to Zolder next time out, and that'll be on Tuesday evening for the GT4s. Make sure you join Dan Davis live there for all the action, 8 p.m. GMT +1. Myself and Dan Davis will be back live in the commentary box next week for Pro-Am on Wednesday, same time, and me and Phil will be back for Zolder next Thursday evening. What an action-packed night it's been here at Zandvoort. Clouden gains 2 points, but Dan Davis really now started to get that one hand on the championship. What can he do going into Zolder next week? Make sure you hit that bell to be notified. The thumbs up button if you do like what you see here, and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as well as check out Audiosport and Design Manchester in the description below for all our sponsors. If you want to get involved in any of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport, make sure you check out our Discord as well. And of course, all our social medias from TikTok to Instagram to Facebook. That'll be where you can find us and keep up to date with all the drama and all the action as we go through this season. 2 weeks left to go, and it's Dan Davis who possibly could win his 9th championship. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Left to go, and it's Dan Davis who possibly could win his 9th championship. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Right. Oh shit, I've just ended it straight away. Oh well. Well, we're clear. It's ended. 2 seconds.
Okay.
Right, so that's ended. We're out. So we can speak.
Mike's put a ticket in on Harris. You're not going to benefit from it, Mike.
I think that's
Harris...
Mike's fault. I'm going to be honest with you. That's all on Mike. That is not on Harris.
Someone's left the Discord. I don't know who.
How do you know someone's left the Discord?
We were at 415 before race 2. We're now at 414 members.
Well, it's not Harris. Stein?
No, because we need to do a retirement ticket, don't we?
Yeah, but is it Stein?
I don't think so. Let me see if I can tag him.
No, he's still there because he's still blue.
I think it's Dennis.
No, Dennis is still there because see him on the side. Might be someone who's not been a part of it. Might be someone who's not been a part of anything. Either way, open the ticket for that. I'm just going to jump in the other party to speak with Mike and